The first person who looked at me after Natalie announced my divorce was Aunt Marcy, which was unfortunate because Aunt Marcy's face had never learned to keep a secret. Her mouth opened. Her eyes snapped to my left hand. Then she looked toward my mother, who was lifting her champagne flute as if this were news she had been waiting all night to celebrate. "To Claire," Natalie said, smiling at me from the front of the private dining room, for having the courage to choose herself. By Mom and Dad's next anniversary, she'll be free to start over. A few people murmured, "To Claire." I didn't move. Natalie's smile slipped at the edges. "Claire?" Behind her, the dining room door opened, and Ben walked in carrying the replacement cable for the slideshow. He stopped just inside the room. His tie was loose, rain darkened the shoulders of his jacket, and his gaze moved from Natalie's raised glass to my face. "What did I miss?" he asked. Nobody answered. Aunt Marcy, who considered silence a medical condition, said, "Apparently your divorce." Ben stared at her, then at me. "What divorce?" The room held 52 adults, 4 half-empty bottles of champagne, 2 waiters pretending to reorganize coffee cups, and 1 enormous anniversary cake I had personally rescued after Natalie left the first one in the trunk of her car for 3 hours. Somehow I could hear the air conditioner. Natalie lowered her glass. Oh my God, that was all she said at first. Not, "I'm sorry," not, "I was wrong." Just the sentence people use when they discover a stain on their shirt. Ben crossed the room toward me. "Claire?" I looked at my mother. Elaine Mercer had spent the evening in a navy dress with pearl buttons, receiving compliments on a party she had not planned. She was still holding her glass. The candlelight made her look soft and dignified, the kind of woman strangers trusted with their coats. "Mom," I said, "why aren't you surprised?" Her fingers tightened around the stem. Ron, my father, sat beside her with his napkin folded into a nervous little square. He studied the tablecloth as if the answer might be embroidered there. Ben reached my chair, but didn't touch me. That mattered. Even then, it mattered. "Natalie," he said, "what exactly did you just tell everybody?" Natalie put her glass on the gift table. "I thought she knew." "Knew what?" "That you were leaving." The words traveled differently when they came without the toast wrapped around them. Leaving, not struggling, not angry. Leaving. Every face in the room turned toward Ben. He went pale beneath the flush from hurrying through the rain. I never told Claire I was leaving. My mother set down her glass with a precise little click. "This is not the place." I laughed. It came out louder than I meant it to, and several people flinched. This was apparently the place to announce my divorce. "Claire," Mom said, using the careful voice she usually reserved for waiters who had brought her the wrong salad dressing, "please don't make this worse." That sentence was so familiar, I almost obeyed it. I had spent 6 weeks making sure nothing went wrong that night. I had confirmed the restaurant 3 times, redone the seating chart after Mom decided Cousin Dean could not sit near Uncle Russell, found a photographer when Natalie's friend canceled, and driven 40 minutes across town for the bakery's last available lemon cake, because Natalie's chocolate one had developed what the baker called structural sweating. I knew which guests needed decaf. I knew the restaurant had 1 extra folding chair behind the bar. I knew Dad's old Army friend would tell the same story twice if nobody redirected him. I did not know my husband was leaving me. Ben turned to my mother. "What did you tell Natalie?" Mom's expression changed, not into guilt but irritation. She hated being questioned before she had selected the version of events she planned to defend. "I told her there were serious problems," she said. "You told me they were separating," Natalie said quickly. "You said Ben was moving out. I said he was considering it. You said after tonight." Dad looked up. "Natalie." "What?" she demanded. "I'm not taking the fall for this by myself." There it was, the Mercer family's purest survival instinct. Not concern for the person bleeding. Immediate negotiations over who had been holding the knife. Ben pulled out the empty chair beside mine and sat, though he looked like he might stand again at any second. "Claire, I did not ask for a divorce." "Did you tell my mother you were going to?" His eyes stayed on mine for half a second too long. Around us, silverware began making tiny sounds. Someone near the windows took a drink. I stood. Mom reached for my wrist. "Sit down. We can discuss this privately after everyone leaves." I looked at her hand until she removed it. "Did you know she was going to make that toast?" Mom glanced toward Natalie. That was answer enough, but Natalie supplied the rest. I ran it by her. You ran it by her. "In the kitchen," Natalie said. "I asked if it was too much. And what did Mom say?" Natalie's mouth opened, then closed. Mom said, "I was trying to make the best of an upsetting situation. By having Natalie announce it with champagne, it was supposed to be supportive." Ben made a small sound beside me, not a laugh, more like something inside him had cracked under pressure. Mom turned on him. "You have no right to act offended." "Elaine," Dad murmured. "No, Ron. He came to me. He put me in an impossible position, and now everyone is looking at me as if I caused this." I felt the room tilt, though I was standing still. Ben had gone to her, not Dad, not his brother, not our friend Marcus, who had known him since college. My mother, the woman who could turn a request for space into evidence of rejection, the woman who once told an entire Christmas dinner that Natalie's boyfriend had commitment concerns because he asked to spend Christmas morning with his own parents. The woman Ben had watched me struggle to resist for 12 years. He had gone to her. "Claire," he said quietly. "Don't." He stopped. A waiter appeared at my elbow holding a silver coffee pot. He took in my face, Ben's face, and the cluster of relatives openly listening from 6 feet away. "Coffee?" he asked. Aunt Marcy said, "I'll take some." Of course she did. I picked up my purse from beneath the chair. My hands felt disconnected from me, competent and calm. They found my phone, my room key from the coat check, the little envelope of restaurant receipts Mom had asked me to keep safe. I put the envelope on the table in front of her. "What's this?" she asked. "The receipts. Don't leave them there. They'll get wet." There was no water near them, just 3 wine glasses, her folded napkin, and the ivory place card I had written in my best handwriting. "Put them in your purse," I said. She stared at me. It was such a small refusal that nobody else would have recognized it as one. My mother did. Her expression sharpened. "Claire, you cannot walk out of our anniversary because Natalie handled this badly." Natalie threw up both hands. Again, Mom approved the toast. I did not approve that wording. "You told me to make it uplifting. I meant tasteful." "Oh, right. My mistake. I forgot to make her secret divorce tasteful." "Stop saying that," Ben said. Natalie looked at him. "Which part?" "Divorce." "Then what did you tell Mom?" His jaw tightened. I waited, but he didn't answer fast enough. I walked toward the door. Behind me, Dad's chair scraped back. "Honey, wait," Mom said. "Let her have a minute." That nearly stopped me. Not because I wanted to stay, but because even my exit had already been repackaged into something she was allowing. I kept moving. The hallway outside the dining room smelled like garlic, wet wool, and industrial lemon cleaner. Coats crowded the brass rack by the entrance. Our anniversary slideshow was frozen on a television mounted above the hostess stand, paused on a photograph of my parents cutting their wedding cake. Mom was 22 in the picture, laughing with her head thrown back. Dad had icing on his nose. They looked reckless and happy and nothing like the people sitting inside that room. I had spent 4 nights scanning those photographs. Ben came through the door behind me. "Claire." I handed my claim ticket to the hostess. "Please don't. I need to explain. I don't want your explanation in a restaurant hallway." "Okay, then let me take you home." I looked at him. The hostess returned with my coat, saw the way we were standing, and very carefully focused on separating the hanger from the collar. "Thank you," I told her. Ben reached for the coat as if to help me put it on. I took it from her first. "I'm not going home with you." His face changed. Not dramatically. Ben had never been dramatic. His hurt always appeared in practical places, in the way he folded his arms, in the slight nod he gave when accepting a decision he hated. Where are you going? I don't know. It's raining, I noticed. Claire, whatever you think happened, I did not tell Elaine I was divorcing you. But you told her something. Yes. What? The dining room door opened again before he could answer. Dad stepped into the hallway, one hand still holding the napkin he had been folding. Your mother wants everyone to sit down, he said. I stared at him. Why are you telling me that? He looked startled by the question. I just thought, you thought I should help her get the evening back under control. No, I thought maybe we could all go into the office and talk. Did you know? His eyes shifted toward Ben. Dad. He rubbed the napkin between his fingers. Your mother said there were some difficulties. Did you know Natalie was going to announce it? No. The answer came quickly, but not cleanly. Did you know Mom planned to tell me tonight? He looked toward the dining room door. I knew my father's silences. There was the distracted silence he used when reading, the peaceful one he carried on early mornings, and the soft, suffocating silence he used when the truth would make Mom angry. Claire, he said, this isn't how any of us wanted you to find out. Ben closed his eyes. I could no longer feel the purse strap in my hand. Find out what? Dad's face crumpled with the realization that he had stepped onto ground my mother had warned him not to touch. The door opened again, and Mom came through this time, followed by Natalie. Behind them, the party continued in fragments, chairs moving, low voices, someone asking whether the slideshow was still happening. Mom looked at Dad, then at me. I think, she said, we should send everyone home. You knew Ben was thinking about leaving me. She drew in a slow breath. I knew your marriage was in trouble. My marriage has been in trouble for months. That isn't the same thing. It sounded more serious than that. To whom? To any reasonable person. Mom. She glanced at Ben, and something passed between them. Not affection, not alliance, but shared knowledge. A conversation I had not heard. Sentences about me spoken in rooms where I had not been allowed. I turned to him. When? He swallowed. Last week. Last week, when I had been at my parents' house until almost midnight because Natalie's slideshow file wouldn't open. Last week, when Ben had left pasta covered on the stove and gone to bed before I got home. Last week, when I had slid beneath the blankets beside him and felt him lying awake but had been too tired to ask why. Mom folded her arms. He called me, she said. He told me he couldn't keep living this way. Ben looked at her sharply. That's not all I said. No, Mom replied. You said quite a bit more. Then she looked at me with something almost like pity. Claire, your husband told me he was thinking of moving out. The rain tapped against the glass doors behind me with the patient rhythm of someone waiting to be let in. I looked at Ben. Is that true? Yes. The word landed cleanly. No qualification, no rush to soften it. My mother made a small, vindicated movement with her chin. Ben saw it. I said I was thinking about staying somewhere else for a while. I did not say I was filing for divorce. You told my mother before you told me. I called her because I wanted her to understand what this was doing to us. What was doing? He stared at me. This. He gestured toward the dining room, the party, my family arranged behind me like an exhibit he had been preparing for years. Mom's voice went cool. Do not blame our anniversary for the condition of your marriage. I'm not blaming your anniversary. You called me and threatened to leave my daughter 6 days before it. I didn't threaten you with anything. You said Claire had canceled your trip because I needed her. You did need me, I said automatically. Ben looked at me. I heard it after I said it. The speed of it. The way I had stepped between them without even deciding which side I was on. Mom seized it. Exactly. I didn't force her. Natalie's work has been extremely demanding, and someone had to make sure everything was done. Natalie leaned against the wall. Please stop explaining my job like I'm performing surgery. I sell kitchen cabinets. Custom kitchens, Mom said. Oh, good. That changes everything. A pulse had started behind my right eye. Why didn't you tell me? Mom's attention returned to me. I was going to. When? After tonight. After I finish the party. That is not why. Natalie made an uncomfortable noise. I turned toward her. What? She looked at Mom, then me. In the kitchen, when we were talking about the toast, Mom said we should wait until after the cake. We had agreed on the order of the program, Mom said. No, you said Claire had worked too hard to have the night ruined before dessert. Mom's face hardened. I was trying to protect your sister. By saving my humiliation until the lemon cake? We were going to speak privately. Natalie was not supposed to be so explicit. Natalie's eyebrows lifted. I said, divorce. You told me divorce. I told you the marriage might be ending. You said Ben was leaving after the party. Ben stared at my mother. You thought I was waiting for her to finish your anniversary party before I left? Mom gave him a look of exhausted tolerance. You were obviously not going to do it before. Something inside me went very still. It was not simply that she believed my husband might leave me. It was that she had arranged the knowledge according to when it would be least inconvenient for her. My life could split open, but preferably after coffee service. Dad rubbed his forehead. Elaine, that sounds bad. She turned on him. Thank you, Ron. Very helpful. You're only saying it now because everyone is upset. You knew there was a problem. I knew there was a problem. I didn't know Natalie planned to stand up and announce it like she was reading raffle numbers. Natalie pushed off the wall. I'm standing right here. Then maybe listen. My father almost never spoke sharply to her. Natalie blinked as if a lamp had burst. For one absurd second, I wanted to comfort her. That scared me more than anything else. I put on my coat. I'm leaving. Ben stepped forward. Let me come with you. No. Claire, we need to talk. We do, not tonight. Can I at least drive you? I said no. He looked down at the floor, then nodded. Okay. Mom exhaled through her nose. So we are all just going to leave this like this? I glanced toward the dining room. You have 50 people in there who apparently know more about my marriage than I do. I'm sure someone can keep you company. That's unfair. A laugh escaped Natalie, short and disbelieving. Mom looked at her. What is funny? Nothing. I'm just trying to figure out which part crossed the line for you. You have done enough. There it is. What does that mean? It means you told me to do it, and now that Claire's mad, I'm suddenly a lone gunman. Dad shut his eyes. Ben said my name again, softly. I pushed through the glass door into the rain. The cold hit hard enough to make me inhale. I had no umbrella because Mom had borrowed mine when she arrived and left it under her chair. Water spotted my glasses before I reached the curb. My car was 3 blocks away in the municipal garage, parked beside a concrete pillar on level 4. I had chosen the space because it was close to the elevator and easy for Mom to find if she needed me to retrieve anything. By the time I got there, the hem of my dress was wet and one of the pearl buttons on my coat had come loose. I sat behind the wheel without starting the engine. My phone lit up in my lap. Ben calling. I declined it. He called again. I declined that one too, then watched 3 gray dots appear beneath his name. Please tell me where you're going so I know you're safe. I typed, I'm not driving into the ocean, then erased it. Our canceled weekend had been in a little inn outside Rockport. Ben had booked the room in February because it had a fireplace and a view of the water. When I told him we had to postpone, he had said, of course we do, so evenly that I had accused him of being passive-aggressive. I wrote, I'm safe. I need space. His answer came immediately. Okay, no defense, no demand. Somehow, that made me angrier. I started the car. Home was 18 minutes away. I pictured our kitchen with the blue tile Ben hated when we bought the house and now defended whenever I suggested changing it. His coffee mug would be in the sink because he always forgot it there. My half-packed weekend bag was still on the closet floor. I had never unpacked it after canceling the trip. I had kept telling myself we might reschedule soon. I drove past the exit for home. The hotel I chose was beside an office park. the sort of place with beige carpet, free breakfast, and framed photographs of bridges nobody had ever visited voluntarily. The man at the front desk wore a silver name tag that said, Greg, and did not react to my damp, formal dress. "One night?" he asked. "Yes." "King or 2 queens?" The question felt more personal than he intended. "King." He gave me a small paper sleeve with 2 key cards. "Breakfast is 6 to 10. Ice is by the elevators. If you need toiletries, dial 0. Do you have a phone charger? Android or iPhone?" I told him. He reached into a drawer and produced one still wrapped in plastic. "You can return it at checkout." That almost undid me. A stranger had anticipated a need and attached no emotional debt to it. "Thank you, Greg. You're welcome." The elevator walls were mirrored. I watched myself rise to the 5th floor in 4 separate panels. Wet hair, mascara beginning to smudge, one hand clenched around my purse. Mom had chosen my dress, a dark green wrap style she said made me look less severe. Natalie had fastened the tiny hook at the back of my neck because I couldn't reach it. 8 hours earlier, we had been in my parents' bedroom getting ready together. Mom sat at her vanity while Natalie curled her hair and complained about the cake. I had sewn a loose pearl button back onto Mom's sleeve. She had touched my cheek and said, "What would I do without you?" At the time, it had felt tender. In the hotel room, I turned on every light. The bed was too white. The air smelled faintly of bleach and old popcorn. A single abstract painting hung above the desk, blue squares on a tan background, and I stared at it longer than it deserved. My phone showed 27 unread messages. "Aunt Marcy, sweetheart, I had no idea. You looked beautiful tonight." Cousin Dean, "Is Ben cheating?" Russell says probably not, but you know Russell. An unknown number. "This is Paula from your parents' church, praying for restoration." Natalie had sent 6 messages. "I swear I thought you knew. Mom made it sound final. I would never have said anything if I knew you didn't know. Okay, that isn't totally true because I did ask her if you knew. I'm so sorry. Please answer so I know you don't hate me." Dad's message was 3 lines. "Your mother is very upset. Please let us know you're safe. We love you." Mom had sent only 1. "Where did you put the folder with the final restaurant balance?" I sat on the edge of the bed and read it twice. Then I started laughing. It was not a pleasant laugh. It came up out of my chest in sharp bursts until I had to cover my mouth. The hotel walls were thin. Somewhere nearby, a toilet flushed. Mom called before I could decide whether to answer. I watched her name pulse across the screen. On the 4th ring, I picked up. "Where are you?" she asked. "Hello to you, too. We've been worried sick. I'm at a hotel." "What hotel? I'm not telling you." A pause. "Is Ben with you?" "No." "Well, at least you're not alone with him while you're emotional." I closed my eyes. What does that mean? It means tonight was a shock, and I don't want him talking you into believing things happened differently than they did. Like you talked Natalie into believing I was getting divorced. I did not talk her into anything. She misunderstood. She asked if I knew. She asked a great many questions while I was trying to oversee dinner. You weren't overseeing dinner. I was. That is exactly the kind of comment I'm talking about. You're upset, so now everything anyone says sounds like an attack. What did Ben tell you? You should ask your husband. I did. Now I'm asking you. She went quiet. In the background, I heard cabinet doors and the soft clatter of dishes. She was home already. Someone, probably Dad, would be unloading anniversary gifts while she removed her jewelry at the kitchen counter. He told me he was tired, she said. He said he couldn't spend the rest of his life waiting for you to put your marriage first. My throat tightened. What else? He said the trip was the last straw. I told him anniversaries happen once and trips can be rescheduled. It wasn't just a trip. Then perhaps you should have explained that to me. I didn't know my marriage required your approval. Claire, don't twist this. Ben called me. I did not invite him to discuss you behind your back. But once he did, you kept asking me for things. I had 47 guests coming. 52. What? There were 52 guests. She sighed. Fine. 52. The point is, what was I supposed to do? Cancel our 40th anniversary because your husband was having a crisis? You could have told me. And then what? You would have confronted him. The two of you would have had a terrible fight, and the entire evening would have fallen apart. So you waited until I finished it for you. I waited because I know you. You handle what needs handling. I believed you would want to get through tonight with dignity. The charger cord shook in my hand. And the toast? I was trying to take the shame out of it. I looked at the hotel bed, the damp coat on the floor, my shoes lying where I had kicked them off like evidence of a struggle. You thought my divorce was shameful? No. I thought finding out your husband wanted to leave might feel that way. I couldn't speak. Her voice softened, and that was worse. Claire, honey, I was protecting you. A knock sounded at the hotel door. I froze. Mom heard it. Who is that? I don't know. Did you tell Ben where you were? No. The knock came again, followed by a man's voice. Ms. Mercer? Front desk. Your husband left something for you. Mom said, do not open that door. I hung up on her. The man outside knocked a third time. Ms. Mercer? I crossed the room and looked through the peephole. Greg stood in the hallway holding my navy weekend bag in one hand and a black umbrella in the other. I opened the door with the security latch still fastened. Sorry, I said. Can you show me your name tag? He leaned closer to the door without changing expression. Greg. Right. Sorry. Good policy. I released the latch. He handed me the bag, then the umbrella. It was mine, the one Mom had borrowed and left beneath her chair. Your husband said he wasn't coming up, Greg said. He wanted me to make that clear. How did he know I was here? I did not ask. Also good policy. One corner of Greg's mouth moved. Anything else tonight? No. Thank you. Return the charger whenever you check out. I closed the door and locked it. The bag sat on the carpet, swollen beyond its usual shape. It was the same one I had half-packed for Rockport, still bearing an old airline tag from our trip to Denver. I knelt and unzipped it. Ben had added a pair of jeans, 2 shirts, clean underwear, socks, my toothbrush, face wash, hairbrush, and the gray cardigan I wore when hotel rooms were too cold. My prescriptions were tucked into the inside pocket. Beneath them was the paperback I had been reading and the charger from my nightstand, carefully wrapped with a rubber band. He had also packed the blue pajamas with the torn drawstring, which irritated me because he knew I hated those. Then I realized he had included them because the pajamas I liked were in the laundry. There was no note. My phone buzzed. Ben. The hotel charge showed up on our card. I left the bag downstairs and went home. I turned off the location alert. I won't contact you again tonight unless you ask me to. I sat on the floor beside the bag. It would have been easier if he had come upstairs. I could have been furious about that. I could have told him he was ignoring my boundary, making my shock about his need to explain. Instead, he had found a way to take care of me without requiring me to receive him. That was the problem with Ben. Even at his worst, he left no clean place to hate him. I typed, "Did you go back to the restaurant?" "Yes." "Why?" "To get your umbrella." Also, I left the slideshow cable on the chair. I almost asked whether the slideshow ever played. Then I hated myself for wondering. What did Mom say to you? The typing dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. She asked if I was proud of what I'd done. And I told her I was ashamed I spoke to her before I spoke honestly to you. The words hurt because they were the right words. He had always been good at the right words after he finally stopped avoiding them. I climbed onto the bed and leaned against the headboard. "Why did you call her?" His answer took longer. "I wanted her to stop asking things from you until after our trip. I thought if she understood how close I was to the edge, she might back off. She kept telling me the party was important to you, and I said I didn't think you even knew what was important to you anymore. That was cruel. I'm sorry." I read it several times. "Did you say divorce?" She said, "Are you planning to divorce my daughter?" I said, "I don't know what I'm planning." Then I said I might move out for a while because nothing changes when I stay. So, yes. I gave her reason to believe I was thinking about it. I pressed my thumb against the screen until the letters blurred. But you weren't going to tell me until when? I don't have a good answer. Try. I was going to wait until after the party. I laughed once, though nothing was funny. Of course you were. I know how that sounds. Do you? Because apparently everyone agreed I needed to finish serving dinner before I was allowed to know my life was falling apart. That's not why I waited. Then why? Because every conversation we've had about your family ends with you defending the current emergency. I thought if I brought it up before the anniversary, you'd say I was sabotaging your parents. I wanted one conversation where the party wasn't in the room with us, so you put it in the room with 52 other people instead. No. Natalie did that, because Mom told her what you told Mom. Yes. I stared at the word until anger rose hot under my skin. There it was again. The neat division of responsibility. Ben had called Mom. Mom had told Natalie. Natalie had made the toast. Each person had only moved the disaster one step forward, so nobody had to feel like the person who caused it. I typed, "I can't do this tonight." He replied, "Okay." I turned the phone face down and changed into the blue pajamas. The drawstring disappeared into the waistband the moment I pulled them on. "Perfect," I said to the empty room. I found a vending machine near the elevator and bought crackers and ginger ale because I had been too busy checking the timing of dinner to eat more than 3 bites. My card failed twice before I realized I was inserting my room key. The ginger ale dropped with a violent clunk. Back in the room, I sat cross-legged on the bed and tried to remember the last meal Ben and I had eaten without one of us checking the time. 2 weeks earlier, he had made chicken with too much rosemary. Mom called halfway through because the restaurant wanted final menu selections, and she did not trust Natalie to choose between asparagus and green beans. I took the call at the table. When I came back, Ben's plate was in the sink. He had said he was tired. I had told him he was being ridiculous. At 1 a.m, Natalie sent another message. "Mom says she was protecting you, but for what it's worth, I don't think she was. I think she wanted you to finish the party." A minute later, "That doesn't make what I did okay." Then, "I really did think the toast might make you feel powerful," which sounds insane now that I'm seeing it written down. I did not answer. Sleep came in brief, unpleasant pieces. In one dream, I kept carrying slices of lemon cake to tables that moved farther away every time I approached. In another, Aunt Marcy followed me through a parking garage asking whether Ben was cheating. At 6:47, someone dropped an ice bucket in the hallway. I woke with my cheeks stuck to the pillow and one hand still curled around my phone. There were 14 new messages. Mom had begun at 5:58. "Your father said you are at a hotel. Please let me know when you're ready to speak calmly. We need the restaurant folder today. The rental company is picking up the cake stand by noon. Did you bring it home or is it still at the restaurant?" At 6:31. Claire, ignoring practical questions, does not solve anything. I open the message field. It's at the restaurant. Call them. Her reply arrived before I set the phone down. "You have the manager's direct number." I sent her the restaurant's main number, which I found online in 11 seconds. She called immediately. I let it ring. She called again. On the third call, I answered and said, "What? You sent me the general number." "Yes, I need to speak to Thomas." "Ask for Thomas. He doesn't come in until 10 and the pickup is at noon. Then you have 2 hours. Claire, the rental company will charge us if the stand isn't ready. Then go get it. I have appointments this morning. Move them." Why are you speaking to me this way? I looked at the navy bag on the floor, at the clothes Ben had packed into it while I drove through the rain. Because I'm at a hotel after finding out from a champagne toast that my husband considered leaving me, and your first concern this morning is a cake stand. That is not my first concern. It is simply the concern with a deadline. The answer was so perfectly Mom that I could picture her standing in the kitchen, already dressed, one hand wrapped around her coffee mug. She would believe completely that she was being sensible. "You'll have to handle it." "You already handled it. I just need the information." "No, you need to handle it." A pause opened between us. "You're punishing me. I'm not driving across town for your cake stand. I didn't ask you to drive anywhere. You were going to. I was going to ask whether you could call Thomas. Call him yourself. I do not understand why you're taking this out on the anniversary." I rubbed my eyes. "The anniversary is over. Not until the rentals are returned." For years, she had won arguments by exhausting everyone else. She would keep rearranging the issue until saying yes became easier than locating the original question. I had 40 minutes before hotel breakfast ended. I wanted coffee. I wanted a shower. I wanted 1 hour of my life in which nobody else had already decided what I would do with it. "I'm hanging up," I said. "Claire?" I hung up. My whole body shook afterward, not from fear exactly, from the force required to put down something I had always been told was too fragile to drop. At 7:15, Dad texted, "I'll pick up the cake stand. Don't worry about it." I almost thanked him. Then I realized the message still assumed I had been worrying about it. I set the phone on the desk and took a shower. The hotel water pressure was terrible, but I stayed beneath it until the mirror fogged and my fingers wrinkled. I used the face wash Ben had packed and put on the gray cardigan. At breakfast, I drank coffee from a paper cup and ate a waffle shaped like the state of Texas. An older couple argued gently over whether the syrup was real maple. A man in a suit watched the news with the sound off. Nobody knew me. Nobody needed me to fix the waffle maker when it beeped. At 8:30, Ben sent one message. "I'll be at work until 6. If you want the house, I'll stay somewhere else tonight." I read it while standing beside the trash can with my empty plate. The house. Not our house. The house. I typed, "We need to talk in person." He replied, "Tell me when." I checked out at 9. Greg took the borrowed charger and asked if everything had been satisfactory. "Yes," I said. It was such a strange word that he looked at me. Ben was waiting in his car at the far end of the hotel parking lot, exactly where I had told him to wait. He got out when he saw me but did not approach. I placed the navy bag in my trunk, closed it, and walked toward him. He looked as if he had not slept. His shirt was wrinkled and he had missed a strip of beard beneath his jaw. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know." His face tightened. I stopped a few feet away. "I need you to move out." Ben didn't argue. That hurt too. He looked past me toward the hotel entrance, where Greg was straightening a stack of tourist brochures nobody took. Okay. I had prepared for questions, anger, maybe even relief. His simple agreement made the parking lot seem larger. "Okay," I repeated. "You need me to leave. I'll leave. You were already thinking about it." "Yes." The answer was quiet, not defensive. I folded my arms against the cold. "So this is convenient." "No." His gaze came back to mine. "Nothing about this is convenient. Where will you go?" "Mark's, for a few nights. Then I'll find something short-term." His older brother lived 20 minutes away and owned a sectional sofa large enough to qualify as temporary housing. Mark would not ask questions until Ben was ready. I had always liked that about him. At that moment, it felt like another thing Ben had that I didn't. "How long?" he asked. "I don't know." "Are we separated? I don't know." "Are you asking me for a divorce?" "No." He nodded, but his shoulders loosened slightly. "Don't look relieved," I said. "I'm not relieved. You are. I'm relieved you didn't just ask me for a divorce in a hotel parking lot. I'm not going to apologize for that." A delivery truck rattled past us, spraying water from a pothole. We both stepped backward at the same time, an old synchronized movement that made me want to scream. Ben shoved his hands into his coat pockets. "Do you want me to tell you I won't go? I want you not to make me choose the words for you. I'm trying not to push. You've been trying not to push for years. Apparently, while planning to move out." "That's fair. Stop saying everything I say is fair." His mouth tightened. "What would you like me to say?" "I don't know. Something true before I drag it out of you." He looked down at the wet pavement. "I wanted you to stop me." The anger in me paused. When? Every time I said I was tired, every time I ate alone, every time you told your mother yes while looking at me, because you knew I wanted you to say no." He drew a breath. "And I know that's not how adults are supposed to communicate. I know I should have told you directly that I was reaching my limit, but part of me wanted you to notice without being told. I did notice. You noticed I was unhappy. You thought I'd get over it." I opened my mouth, then closed it. That was exactly what I had thought. Ben got over things. He took a walk, repaired something in the garage, or fell asleep with one hand tucked beneath his pillow. By morning, he could discuss grocery lists. I had mistaken recovery for permission. "What did you tell my mother?" I asked. "Not the summary. What did you actually say?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "She called about the cable." "The slideshow cable? She said you'd left the adapter at home and asked me to bring it Friday. I said yes. Then I asked if she could stop giving you more things to do. What did she say? That you had volunteered." I almost laughed. "Of course. I said you volunteer because she makes every request sound like a character test. She said I didn't understand your relationship. Did you say that to her?" "Yes." The thought of Ben describing my mother accurately to her face would have been satisfying in almost any other context. He continued, "She said the anniversary mattered to you. I said our anniversary used to matter to you too." My eyes stung. I blamed the wind. The coastal weekend had not been for our anniversary exactly. Our 12th was 3 weeks away, but the date was the only one the inn had available. Ben had arranged it anyway. I had called it flexible because the calendar did not match. What happened after that? She said I resented how close you are to your family. I said I resented always coming last. She told me marriage wasn't a competition. That sounds like her. I said I couldn't live the rest of my life like this. She asked if I planned to divorce you. I told her I didn't know. She kept asking what that meant, and I said maybe I needed to move out for a while because nothing changes when I stay. Did she ask when? Yes. And you said after the party. I said I wasn't going to blow up your parents' anniversary. I looked toward my car. The Navy bag was visible through the back window, a dark shape on the seat. You handed her a loaded gun and trusted her not to show Natalie. I know. No, you know now. Last week, you apparently thought my mother was the safest person to tell that you might leave me. I thought she would care that her demands were hurting you. She cared whether I finished the seating chart. I understand that now. That's a pretty expensive lesson for me. Yes. I hated how little he protected himself. I wanted resistance because resistance would let me push back. His remorse left me standing alone with the truth. "I need the house," I said. "At least for now. You have it. We'll need rules." "Okay." "No calling Mom. No talking to Natalie about us. No answering questions from relatives." "Gladly." "This isn't funny. I wasn't joking." I pressed my fingernails into my palms. "You don't get to punish them for what happened either." He looked at me carefully. "Is that what you think I'd do?" "I don't know what you'd do. Yesterday I thought you'd tell me if you were considering leaving." He absorbed that without looking away. "I'll be out by noon," he said. "Do you want to be there while I pack?" "No." "All right, but don't take everything." His expression shifted. "I mean practical things," I said quickly. "Don't empty drawers when we haven't decided anything. I won't." He started toward his car, then stopped. "For what it's worth, I didn't want your family to know before you." But they did. "Yes." He got into the car. I stayed in the parking lot until his taillights disappeared. I spent the next 2 hours at a coffee shop near the highway, drinking the same cold coffee while people held normal meetings around me. 2 women compared fabric samples. A man in a red tie interviewed someone for a sales job. At the next table, a couple shared a muffin without discussing whether either of them intended to remain married. At 11:46, Ben texted, "I'm done." Key is on the kitchen counter. I waited another 15 minutes so there was no chance we would pass each other in the driveway. The house looked unchanged from outside. The porch light was still on from the night before. A package of coffee filters sat beside the front door, delivered on schedule to a life that no longer was. Inside, the silence felt staged. Ben had washed the mug from the sink and placed it upside down on a towel. The trash had been taken out. His key lay on the counter beside a yellow sticky note. Mark's tonight. I found a furnished place available next week. I took clothes, work things, and shaving stuff. Nothing else. He had left his wedding ring off the list. I went to the bedroom and opened his closet. Empty hangers clustered together on the rod. But most of his clothes remained. His blue suit, the ridiculous Hawaiian shirt Mark had given him, the sweater I bought him our first Christmas in the house. His running shoes were gone. The half-packed Rockport bag was still in my trunk. I sat on the edge of the bed. His side was made. Mine wasn't. My phone rang downstairs. I let it. A moment later, the doorbell sounded. Through the front window, I saw Mom standing on the porch holding a covered casserole dish. I did not move. She rang again, then tried the doorknob. The lock turned. Mom stepped inside using the spare key I had given her 7 years earlier, after she watered our plants while we were away. She closed the door with her hip. "Claire?" I walked into the hallway. She startled. "There you are. Why didn't you answer? Why did you let yourself in?" "I brought food." She lifted the casserole slightly as if this answered the question. "You could have left it outside. It has dairy." She moved toward the kitchen. I stayed where I was. Mom stopped. "Are you going to make me stand here holding this? I didn't ask you to bring it." Her mouth compressed. "I know you're angry. Do you?" "Yes. Despite what you seem to believe, I am not insensitive. What's in the dish?" She blinked. "Chicken tetrazzini. That's Ben's favorite. I made it before I knew he wouldn't be here. You knew he wouldn't be here before I did." The dish lowered. "I came to apologize," she said. "For what?" "For the way the information came out." I waited. She shifted the casserole to her other hand. "Natalie exercised terrible judgment. You approved the toast. I approved a few words of encouragement. I did not approve her announcing that the divorce would be final by next year. There is no divorce." "Then I'm glad." "You don't sound glad." "I'm being cautious. Ben said he was moving out, and clearly he has." "How do you know? I saw him leaving when I came by. So you drove past before bringing the casserole?" "I wanted to make sure you were home." "You tried the door without knowing I was home." She set the dish on the entry table with more force than necessary. I refused to be interrogated for checking on my daughter. "You didn't check on me last week." Her face went still. "You knew," I said. "Every time you called about napkins and menus, you knew Ben had told you he might leave. I was waiting for the appropriate moment." "No, you were waiting until you didn't need me anymore. That is a grotesque thing to say." "Is it?" "Yes." Her eyes filled instantly, a response so practiced I used to think emotion made it true. "I was trying to hold the family together. You told Natalie. I needed to talk to someone." The irony was almost elegant. She looked past me toward the kitchen. "Where is Ben staying?" "I'm not telling you." "Why not?" "Because it's none of your business. He made it my business. He made a mistake." Mom's head tilted. "Interesting." "What? After everything he did, you're defending him." "I'm not defending him. I'm keeping you out of it. Is that what he asked you to do?" There was something almost hopeful in her suspicion, as if she had finally found the shape of the story she preferred. "Ben isn't here," I said. "That doesn't mean he isn't influencing you. Men like Ben isolate women by making their families seem unreasonable. Men like Ben? You know what I mean." "No, I don't. He has resented our closeness for years. Our closeness made you think you could schedule my heartbreak after dessert. I will not stand here and be spoken to like this." "Okay." She stared at me. I nodded toward the door. "Then don't." Mom picked up her purse from the entry table. "You are making decisions in anger that you will regret." "Maybe. You've never shut me out before. I've never learned something about my marriage from Natalie's toast before." She reached for the casserole. "Leave it," I said. I'll put it outside after you go. Her eyes narrowed. Then I held out my hand. And give me the key. For a moment, Mom acted as if she hadn't heard me. What key? The one you used to enter my house? I've had that key for years, I know. It's for emergencies. Chicken tetrazzini isn't an emergency. Her fingers closed around the strap of her purse. You've never objected before. You've never walked in after helping my sister announce my divorce before I knew about it. Must you keep phrasing it that way? That's how it happened. It makes me sound monstrous. I kept my hand out. She studied my palm as though checking for evidence of Ben's influence. Then she opened her purse and pulled out a ring crowded with keys. She had to remove her glasses to identify mine. The process took almost a full minute, each turn of the metal accompanied by a tiny sigh. When she finally worked the key free, she did not place it in my hand. Your father and I are getting older, she said. What happens if we need you? You have my phone number. What if you don't answer? Then call someone else. Her face changed. Not anger yet. Hurt first, genuine enough to catch at me. There has never been someone else, she said. That was probably true. It was also not the same as love. She dropped the key into my palm. The weight of it was ridiculous. A small brass thing with a blue plastic cap warm from her hand. Thank you. I hope making me feel unwelcome brings you whatever satisfaction you're looking for. I went to the ceramic dish beside the stairs where Ben and I kept loose keys and spare change. My parents' house key lay beneath an expired coupon and 2 pennies. I removed it from my ring. What are you doing? Mom asked. I held it out to her. She stared. That is not necessary. I don't want it. What if we need you to get into the house? Call Natalie. You know she lives 30 minutes away. I live 24 minutes away. You'll survive the extra 6. Claire, take it. She accepted it like I had handed her something dead. This is exactly what Ben wanted, she said. Ben didn't ask me to do this. He didn't have to. He spent years making you feel guilty for being a good daughter. No, you spent years making me feel guilty if I wasn't one. The hurt left her face. She picked up the casserole. I won't leave food where it isn't appreciated. I told you I'd put it outside. I heard you. She walked to the door, stopped with her hand on the knob, and looked back. When this passes, I hope you remember who has always been here for you. Then she left carrying Ben's favorite dinner. I locked the door behind her with the key she had returned. For 10 minutes, I stood in the entryway expecting to feel cruel. Instead, I felt the same way I had after hanging up on her that morning, shaky, guilty, and unexpectedly taller. My phone began ringing before her car left the street. Dad. I let it go to voicemail. His message arrived 30 seconds later. Claire, it's Dad. Your mother came home very upset. I don't know exactly what happened, but taking back keys seems, permanent. Maybe call when you've had time to cool down. Love you. I listened twice, then deleted it. The family group chat had accumulated 41 messages since the anniversary. People were sharing photographs around the crater. Aunt Marcy posted one of Mom and Dad cutting the replacement cake with the caption, 40 years strong. Cousin Dean uploaded a blurry picture of Ben entering during Natalie's toast, then deleted it after 3 people reacted with shocked faces. Mom had written, "Thank you all for celebrating with us." The evening did not end as planned, but family is about grace. Natalie replied, "Please don't." Mom, "I'm not sure what that means." Natalie, "Then call me." Aunt Marcy, "I thought the salmon was excellent." That made me laugh despite myself. I opened the chat settings and stared at the red words, "Leave conversation." My thumb hovered there. Leaving would be noticed. Mom would call it punitive. Dad would say it made communication harder. Natalie would text separately and ask if I had blocked her. Every relative would interpret it as a statement, which meant for the first time in my life I would not be available to manage their interpretation. I pressed it. The screen asked if I was sure. I was not. I pressed leave anyway. The silence afterward lasted 4 minutes. Then Natalie texted me directly. That was dramatic. I replied, yes. She sent a period, deleted it, then called. I answered because not answering felt like letting Mom narrate the conversation for both of us. "Hi," Natalie said. "Hi, are you okay?" "No." "Right, stupid question." I wandered into the kitchen. Ben's clean mug still sat upside down on the towel. I turned it upright, then immediately resented myself for touching it. "Mom called me," Natalie said. "She says you took away her house key." I took back my house key. Apparently, those are emotionally different sentences. Apparently. She also said you returned theirs. Yes. That is kind of intense. I don't need a key to their house. You use it all the time. To deliver groceries when Mom doesn't want to wait for a delivery window. To let repair people in. To bring Dad's packages inside. You feed their fish. They don't have fish anymore, I know. I was running out of examples. I leaned against the counter. This was Natalie's gift. She could make me smile in the middle of wanting to throw something at her. It was one reason consequences never seemed to stick to her. By the time you remembered what she had done, she had become funny and human again. "What do you want?" I asked. The lightness left her voice. "To apologize. You already did by text. I'm aware that texting 'sorry for announcing your divorce' is below even my standards." I said nothing. She took a breath. "Can I come over?" "No." "Okay." Her quick acceptance surprised me. "Not today," I said. "Right, I got that." "Maybe not for a while." A beat passed. "Did Mom tell you not to see me?" she asked. "No." "Ben?" "No." "Then why?" "Because you stood up in front of 52 people and used my marriage to make yourself the interesting person in the room." The words came out harder than I had planned. Natalie went quiet. I waited for the defense. She had plenty available. Mom told her. She thought I knew. She wanted to make it uplifting. She had been trying to help. Instead, she said, "Yes." That answer unsettled me almost as much as Ben agreeing to move out. Yes? I wanted the toast to be good. What does that mean? It means Mom and Dad have been married 40 years. There are only so many ways to say that before everyone starts checking their watches. Then Mom told me about you and Ben, and it felt like... She stopped. "Like what? Like I had something important to say." "You had something important to reveal, I know. Did you enjoy it?" She breathed out slowly. "Yes." I closed my eyes. "Not hurting you," she said. "I didn't enjoy that. You didn't notice that part until Ben walked in. I thought you knew. I swear to God, Claire, I thought you knew there was a divorce. There wasn't a divorce. There was a leaving, or a maybe leaving. Mom made it sound more official, and you made it public. Yes." Outside, a lawnmower started 3 houses down. Someone was trimming the edge of an ordinary Sunday while my sister confessed to enjoying my humiliation. "I'm jealous of you," she said. I opened my eyes. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Turn this into a compliment. Don't tell me you ruined my marriage toast because I'm so competent and wonderful that you couldn't help yourself. That isn't what I was going to say. It's what Mom says whenever she asks me to rescue you. Natalie needs you because she admires you. Natalie relies on you because you make things look easy. I do admire you. I don't care right now." "Okay?" She sounded small, and the familiar reflex rose in me. Soften it. Reassure her. Give her a path back to being the sister I loved. I pressed my palm against the cool countertop and let the silence stand. Natalie finally said, "Mom told me to wait until after the cake." "I know. She said if I did it before, you might leave." I gripped the edge of the counter. "What exactly did she say?" She said, "Not until after dessert. Your sister has worked too hard to miss the end." For one strange second, the sentence almost sounded loving. Then I heard its machinery. Mom had known I might walk out once I learned the truth. She had delayed the truth so I would finish the event first. Did Dad know? Not about the toast. That isn't what I asked. Natalie sighed. "I don't know what he knew. Mom said she had talked to him, but Dad does that thing where you tell him something and he becomes fascinated by a cabinet hinge. I pictured him folding the napkin in the hallway. "Claire," Natalie said, "what's happening with Ben? I'm not discussing my marriage with you. I'm not asking so I can announce it." "I know. Are you sure? About not discussing it? Yes. Another silence. Mom wants me to come over and help with thank you notes, she said. I almost told her where I kept the embossed cards. They were in a white box inside the anniversary supply bin, alphabetized beside the address list. Instead, I said, "Then go help her. You always write them. Not this time." I don't know what to say in them. Thank you for coming. She says they need to be personal. Then write something personal. I'm bad at that. I know. She gave a short laugh that held no humor. This is going to be fun, isn't it? No. What are you doing with the bins from the restaurant? Nothing. They're in Dad's car. Then Dad has bins. Okay. She was quiet again. I'm sorry, she said. Not because Mom told me to say it. Not because I want you to fix something. I'm sorry I liked knowing before you. I'm sorry I made your pain feel like my moment. It was the best apology she had ever given me. I was not ready for it to be enough. Thank you, I said. After we hung up, I stood alone in the kitchen until the lawnmower stopped. Ben's mug remained on the counter. I picked it up, opened the cabinet, and placed it on the shelf beside mine. Then my phone buzzed. Ben had sent the address of the furnished apartment. I'm signing for 1 month. Before I do, I need to know if that's too long or not long enough. I looked around the kitchen, at the blue tile he hated and defended, at the empty hook where his car keys usually hung. 1 month, I wrote. His reply came a minute later. Okay. Can we talk before then? I stared at the question. Not about my family, I typed. About us. That's what I want. I rested my hand on the counter. Dinner Thursday, I wrote. Somewhere neither of us can walk upstairs and pretend the conversation is over. The empty house developed habits before I did. It clicked after midnight. The refrigerator hummed louder when nobody was breathing beside me. Ben's side of the mattress remained smooth, while mine gathered sheets around me like evidence. I discovered how many sounds I had assigned to him without realizing it. The garage door at 6, the shower pipe knocking once, the cabinet above the coffee maker closing too firmly. In his absence, I kept hearing versions of him. Twice I looked up from the couch because I thought his key had turned in the lock. It hadn't. He texted only about practical things. The electric bill is due Monday. There's soup in the freezer behind the ice tray. Your left rear tire looked low at the hotel. He never added, I miss you. I never asked if he did. On Thursday, I arrived at a neighborhood restaurant 7 minutes late because I had sat in my car watching him through the window. Ben was already in a booth. He wore the pale blue shirt I liked and had rolled the sleeves to his forearms. His wedding ring was still on. My eyes went to it before I could stop them. He noticed. I didn't know whether to wear it, he said. Neither did I. I held up my left hand. Mine was there, too. That's comforting, he said. It shouldn't be, I know. The restaurant was half full, warm with the smell of grilled onions and coffee. We had chosen it because it was 14 minutes from the house and 16 from his furnished apartment. Neutral territory, mathematically negotiated. A waitress brought menus and smiled with professional optimism. Separate checks? Ben looked at me. Yes, I said. The waitress wrote something on her pad. Easy enough. I slid into the booth. The vinyl squeaked beneath me, loud enough that Ben almost smiled. Don't, I said. I didn't. You were going to. I thought it, but I showed restraint. That was how we used to talk. The familiarity opened beneath me so suddenly I grabbed the menu. He ordered meatloaf. I ordered a turkey club, then changed to soup after realizing the club came with rosemary fries. Neither of us mentioned the chicken he had made 2 weeks earlier. When the waitress left, Ben folded his hands on the table. How's the apartment? I asked. It looks like a dentist's waiting room designed by someone who hates dentists. What does that mean? Everything is gray and there are 6 decorative pillows. You hate decorative pillows. I don't understand their job. The job is decoration. Then why are they on the bed where sleeping happens? I almost laughed. He saw it and looked away, sparing me the humiliation of having shared something pleasant. Did you want to start? He asked. I don't know how. Neither do I. You're the one who wanted to talk. You asked for dinner. Because you asked to talk. Okay. He nodded. This is already going well. This time, I did laugh. Once. It hurt immediately afterward. The waitress returned with water. We waited until she moved away. Ben looked down at his hands. I'm sorry I called your mother. You've said that. I'm trying to say the rest. I waited. I told myself I was asking her to back off. That was part of it. But I think I also wanted her to warn you. Warn me that you were leaving, that I was serious. You could have warned me. I did. Badly. You said you were tired. I said more than that. You said you couldn't be married to my whole family, and you told me to stop being dramatic. His voice stayed calm, which made the words land harder. I thought we were having the same argument we always have, I said. We were. That was the problem. Our food arrived before either of us could answer. The waitress placed the meatloaf in front of Ben and the soup in front of me. Anything else? No, we said together. She looked between us. I'll be nearby. Ben waited until she was gone. I wanted your mother to tell you there was an actual consequence coming, not because I wanted her to announce anything. I thought she would say, Claire, your husband called me and he's really upset. You wanted her to translate you. Yes. So you wouldn't have to say it. Yes. That's cowardly. Yes. I tore a cracker packet down the middle. Would you disagree with me once? Just for variety? I disagree with the idea that I didn't say anything. I said things. I just kept leaving room for you not to hear them. That sounds convenient. It was, for both of us. I put down the cracker. He met my eyes. You could tell yourself I was only grumpy. I could tell myself I had tried. There it was. One of those sentences that did not choose a villain and therefore offered me nowhere comfortable to stand. Were you hoping she would talk me out of the party? I asked. I was hoping she would tell you to go to Rockport with me. You wanted my mother's permission. I wanted you to have it. I didn't need it. You canceled the trip because you thought you did. I stirred the soup, though I had not tasted it. You know what I keep thinking about? I said. Not the toast. The week before it. He waited. I drove Mom to the florist because she said downtown parking made her nervous. I spent Tuesday night fixing the slideshow. I picked up Dad's suit from the tailor. On Wednesday, Natalie called because she couldn't remember whether she had paid the photographer. She hadn't. I know. I paid him. Ben's expression changed. You told me she handled it. She said she would reimburse me. How much? That isn't the point. How much, Claire? $800. He sat back. She will pay me. I'm sure she intends to. You don't have to say it that way. How should I say it? I don't know. He looked toward the window. Outside, headlights swept across the wet street. You did all that, he said, while I was sitting at home wondering whether our marriage was ending. Your mother knew I was wondering. She kept calling you anyway. I know, but you would have done it even if you knew. I felt the truth before I answered. Maybe. His eyes returned to mine. That's why I didn't tell you before the party, he said. I knew if I made you choose, you'd choose them and hate me for asking. So instead, you waited to see if I'd choose you without knowing there was a choice. Yes, that's not fair, no. And when I failed a test I didn't know I was taking, you considered moving out. He flinched. Yes. I pushed the soup away. The waitress appeared at the edge of the table. Everything okay? The soup is good, I said. She looked at the nearly full bowl. Want a box? No, thank you. Ben covered his food with his napkin. He had eaten maybe 3 bites. When we were alone again, he said, I don't want to live like we were living. Neither do I. The words surprised both of us. He leaned forward slightly. What does that mean? It means I don't want you back in the house just because it feels terrible without you. His face tightened, but he nodded. And I don't want to go back to being the person everyone calls first and then treats like she volunteered. Okay, but I also don't want you deciding that every time I help my family, I'm choosing them over you." "I don't think that. You have. I think there's a difference between helping them and disappearing into them. Who decides where that line is?" "We both do." "That sounds good in a restaurant. It sounds less good when Mom is calling because Dad needs a ride. Dad can drive, not after certain appointments. Then Natalie can drive. Or they can ask you, and you can look at your own life before answering. You make it sound simple. I don't think it's simple. I think you call it complicated because complicated lets you avoid saying no." Heat moved into my face. "You've had a week in a furnished apartment, and now you understand my entire family system? I've had 12 years. The waitress dropped the checks at the edge of the table without asking if we wanted dessert. I took mine. Ben did not reach for it, which I appreciated and resented. "Do you still want to be married to me?" I asked. He answered immediately, "Yes." My eyes stung. He added, "But not the way we were." I looked down at my check. The soup cost $9.50. I focused on the neat black numbers. "Do you?" he asked. "I don't know." He breathed in, held it, let it go. "That's honest," he said. "Don't reward me. I wasn't." "You sounded like a counselor." "Sorry. Also, stop apologizing for every sentence." He nodded, then caught himself before saying sorry again. Despite everything, that made me smile. He smiled too, but it faded quickly. "I love you," he said. "I don't expect that to solve anything. I just don't want to leave it unsaid because apparently that's what I do with important things." I pressed my lips together. "I love you too," I said. It felt less like reassurance than admitting an injury was deep because the nerves still worked. We paid separately and walked outside. The rain had stopped. Ben stood beside my car but did not touch the door handle. "The faucet in the upstairs bathroom is leaking," I said. "I can come fix it." "No." His eyebrows lifted. "I can call a plumber. You hate paying someone for something I can do, I know." He looked like he wanted to argue, then nodded. "Your tire. I put air in it. Good." We stood there, neither of us moving. "Dinner next week?" he asked. "I don't want this to turn into dating while we avoid the actual problem. Then we don't avoid it." One dinner. No reports to my mother. His jaw tightened. Never again. I unlocked my car. "Claire?" I turned. "I'm not going anywhere beyond the apartment. That isn't something you can promise. It's something I can choose right now." I got into the car before I could answer. When I pulled into my driveway, Dad was sitting on the front steps beside 3 black storage bins from the anniversary. His sedan was parked at the curb, trunk still open. He stood when he saw me. "Your mother said you wouldn't come get these," he said. "I didn't want them." "I know. That stopped me." He looked down at the bins, then back at me. "I didn't bring them because you need to take care of them," he said. "I brought them because I think I owe you the truth about what I knew." I unlocked the front door but left the storage bins where they were. Dad followed me inside without asking. He'd always waited to be invited, unlike Mom. It was one of the ways he separated himself from her behavior while benefiting from it. "Coffee?" I asked. "No, thank you." "Water?" "I'm fine." I set my purse on the kitchen counter. Ben's mug sat beside mine in the cabinet now, hidden behind wood and still somehow present in the room. Dad remained near the doorway, holding his car keys in both hands. "What did you know?" He cleared his throat. "Your mother told me Ben had called." "When?" "The same night he called her." "And what did she say?" "That he was upset about the trip. That he believed you were putting us ahead of your marriage." "That wasn't news." "No. She told you he might move out?" "Yes." The answer carried no defense. I understood why he had brought the bins after dark. It was easier for him to tell the truth when Mom was not there to correct its posture. "Did you ask whether I knew?" "I did." "What did she say?" "She said you didn't, but she intended to talk to you after the anniversary, and you agreed." Dad looked down at his keys. "I said it was probably best not to upset you before the dinner." My throat tightened. Best for whom? I told myself it was best for everyone. There is no everyone in that sentence. There's Mom and there's me. I know. Do you? Yes. He said it without raising his voice, but something in it stopped me. Dad pulled out one of the kitchen chairs and sat. For the first time, he looked his age. Not old exactly, but worn around the edges. He had loosened his belt after dinner, a habit Mom hated, and the tail of his shirt was uneven. I knew your marriage might be in real trouble, he said. I knew you didn't know. I decided your mother's anniversary dinner was more important than telling you. Your anniversary dinner. No. He shook his head. That's another thing I do. I call it ours when she wants something, and hers when it goes wrong. Despite myself, I almost smiled. He saw it and gave me a tired shrug. I'm trying to be accurate. Were you accurate when you told me none of you wanted me to find out that way? No, I didn't want a scene. That's not the same as not wanting you hurt. The kitchen clock ticked behind him. I sat across from him. Did you know about the toast? No. Did you know Mom told Natalie? I knew they had talked privately. Your mother said Natalie was worried about you. Natalie was worried about giving a boring speech. That sounds more like Natalie. She says Mom told her to wait until after dessert. Dad closed his eyes briefly. I didn't know that. Would it have changed anything? He considered the question long enough that I believed his answer. I hope it would have, he said. I can't promise it would have. I looked at his hands. They were large, square hands, nicked around the knuckles from a lifetime of fixing hinges, changing filters, tightening bolts. If Mom wanted a picture hung, Dad measured the wall 3 times. If she wanted a difficult conversation handled, he became fascinated by the wall. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. Because your mother said she had it under control. When has Mom ever had another person's feelings under control? She usually has the room under control. That isn't the same thing. I know that now. You knew it before. Yes. The honesty hurt more than an excuse would have. Dad rotated his keys around one finger. I've spent a long time calling it peace, when what I mean is that your mother isn't angry with me. I sat back. She gets upset, he continued. I stay quiet. You step in. By the time she feels better, I haven't had to do anything except tell you how much she loves you. You make that sound planned. It isn't planned. That doesn't make it accidental. I thought of every call from Dad that began with "your mother is upset" and ended with me apologizing for something I had not done. Even this week, he said, I called and asked you to calm her down. You had just learned your husband might leave. Your mother came home crying, and I thought you should fix that. Why? Because you usually do. There it was. No grand explanation. Habit. Dad looked toward the front hallway. The bins are empty except for your tablecloths, the picture frames, and some candles you bought. Natalie and I returned the rentals. She wrote the thank you notes. Mom letter? Your mother rewrote most of them. That sounds right. She wanted me to leave the bins in your garage and ask you to organize the photographs. Did you bring the photographs? No. I looked at him. They're at our house, he said. I can organize them. Do you know how Mom wants them organized? No. That's why she sent them to me. Then she'll have to explain it to me. The answer was small, almost comically small. Yet I had never heard him say anything like it. Are you leaving her? I asked. Dad's eyebrows rose. No. Are you going to start standing up to her? I don't know. It was the answer people gave when they wanted credit for considering change without promising the inconvenience of it. He must have seen that on my face. I'm not asking you to believe me yet, he said. I don't. That's fair. I groaned. What? Ben keeps saying that, then maybe it is. I laughed before I could stop myself. Dad smiled, but his eyes stayed sad. He helped me carry the bins into the garage. The top one held my cream tablecloths, washed and folded with the precision of someone who had been afraid to return them wrinkled. Dad, not Natalie. At the bottom sat the wooden frames I had used for old anniversary photographs. One still held a picture of Mom and Dad dancing in their first apartment, surrounded by moving boxes. Mom's cheek rested against his chest. Dad looked terrified and delighted. He picked it up. "We weren't always like this," he said. "I know. That may be part of why I kept pretending." He placed the frame back inside. At the door, he stopped. "Do you want me to tell your mother anything?" "No." "Okay. Don't tell her about Ben. Don't ask me about Ben. If she asks whether I talked to you, tell her we discussed what you knew. That's it." "All right." His hand settled on the doorknob. "Dad." He turned. "Thank you for bringing the truth instead of just the bins." His face tightened. "I'm sorry it took both." After he left, I closed the garage door and stood in the dark until the automatic light clicked off. The next morning, Aunt Marcy called while I was brushing my teeth. I considered letting it go, but curiosity won. "Hi, Aunt Marcy." "Oh, good," you answered. Her voice dropped immediately, though nobody else was on the call. "I wanted to check on you." "I'm okay. Your mother is very concerned." "I'm aware." "She says Ben has moved out." I stopped brushing. "How do you know that?" "She told me." "Why?" "Well, I asked how you were. And she told you where my husband is living?" "Not where, only that he left and you aren't speaking to the family. I spoke to Dad last night." Aunt Marcy paused, recalibrating. Elaine feels shut out. "My marriage is private." "Of course. I completely agree." She said it with the eager tone of a person hoping I would now provide private details. "Then why are we discussing it? I'm not trying to pry. I just wanted to make sure Ben isn't isolating you." The toothbrush went still in my hand. Did Mom use that word? I don't remember her exact language. She did. She said he has always resented how close you all are. I took back Mom's key because she entered my house without permission. Ben wasn't here. "Oh, and I left the group chat because my relatives were discussing my marriage beneath pictures of salmon. The salmon was very good." "I'm sure it was." Aunt Marcy sighed. "Your mother made a mistake." "Yes, but Natalie was the one who made the announcement. Mom approved it. She says she didn't approve the wording. She approved telling 52 people something she hadn't told me." Aunt Marcy went quiet. "There isn't a divorce," I said. Relief rushed into her voice. "Oh, thank God. But Ben and I are separated." The silence came back heavier. "Temporarily?" she asked. "I don't know." "Oh, Claire." I closed my eyes. "I have to go. Of course. I won't tell anyone. Please don't." By lunch, Cousin Dean texted, "Marcy says divorce is off, but separation is on. Rooting for you." I stared at the message until the letters looked like nonsense. Then I texted Mom, "Stop discussing my marriage with relatives. If anyone asks, tell them it is private." Her reply came 10 minutes later. "I was defending you from the gossip Natalie created." I wrote back, "You created the information she used. Mom, Ben created it." I put the phone face down and did not answer. That evening, Natalie called from our parents' dining room. In the background, Mom said, "If you're going to speak to her, at least don't whisper." Natalie lowered her voice further. She made me redo 11 thank you notes. I heard. "Dad told you?" "Yes. She said my handwriting looks unstable." "It does, I know. But you're supposed to lie." "No." A pause. "Is this what it's always like?" she asked. "What?" "Doing something for her and finding out you somehow did it offensively." I sat on the couch, looking at the empty place beside me. "Yes." "Why didn't you say anything?" "I did. You said she was demanding. I thought you meant normal mom demanding. What did you think normal meant?" "I don't know. More snacks, less criticism." Mom called from the background, "Natalie, the envelopes." "I have to go," she said. "Then go." "Right. Sorry." She hung up. An hour later, Ben texted, "Your mother called me from your dad's phone." I sat upright. "Did you answer?" "No." "She left a voicemail. Do you want to hear it?" I imagined Mom's voice moving into the gray apartment, filling the rooms I had not seen. "No. Do you want to know what she said?" "No." A moment passed. Okay, I'll delete it. My fingers hovered over the screen. Thank you for asking. His reply came after a minute. I'm learning. I looked toward the kitchen cabinet where his mug sat beside mine. So am I wrote. Then, before I could reconsider, dinner Tuesday? Ben replied before I could decide whether inviting him had been a mistake. Yes, you picked the place. I chose a Mexican restaurant across town where nobody knew us and the tables were too close together for either of us to raise our voices. Then I spent 4 days inventing reasons to cancel. Mom helped by sending me the details of her outpatient procedure. She did not ask whether I could drive her. She forwarded the appointment confirmation with a note beneath it. Check-in is 8:15. They said I should be ready to leave by 11, but you know how these places are. I read it while standing in line at the grocery store. I replied, I'm not available. Please ask Dad or Natalie. Mom, your father has his cardiology appointment that morning. Me, then ask Natalie. Mom, she works. The cashier held up my bag of apples. These yours? Yes. Sorry. I moved forward, slid my card into the reader, and tried not to picture Mom sitting alone beneath fluorescent lights because I had decided to make a point. My phone buzzed again. This is precisely what I meant about anger causing unnecessary consequences. I turned the phone off. Natalie called me before I reached my car. You threw me under the bus, she said. Hello. Mom says you told her I'm taking her Thursday. I told her to ask you. She didn't ask. She informed me. Then tell her no. I can't tell her no. She has a procedure. It's minor. She'll be sedated. Then she needs a ride. She doesn't need my ride. A cart rolled between us in the parking lot, pushed by a man carrying 3 bouquets of flowers and a case of beer. He looked happier than anyone had a right to be. Natalie sighed. I have a client meeting. Move it. That's what you told Mom about her appointment. And nothing. I can move it, then move it. I hate this version of you. You announced my divorce. Right. Fine. I earned that. She was silent long enough for me to unlock my car and put the groceries in the back. Did she always do this? Natalie asked. Send me an appointment like it was a calendar invitation I had already accepted? Yes. Usually she called first. That's because she knew I'd say yes faster out loud. Oh. I closed the trunk. You don't have to take her, I said. Yes, I do. No, you feel like you do. That's different. Is this what therapy sounds like? I wouldn't know. You and Ben should probably... Don't. Stopping. She took Mom to the procedure. At 11:18 that morning, Mom texted home safely. Natalie was 30 minutes late and complained about parking. I hope you're pleased. Dad texted 2 minutes later. Everything went fine. Your mother is resting. Natalie sent a photograph of a paper cup on the passenger side floor of her car. She spilled ginger ale and said, Claire always brings a towel. I laughed so hard in the office break room that someone asked if I was all right. I wrote, There's a roll of paper towels in her pantry. Natalie, I know where paper towels live. Me, good, proud of you. Natalie, I liked you better when you were repressed. By Tuesday evening, the guilt had settled beneath my ribs like a second heartbeat. Ben was waiting outside the restaurant. He had not gone in without me, which felt deliberate. Hi, he said. Hi. He opened the door, then hesitated, as if holding doors might now imply something we had not agreed to. I walked through. The hostess led us to a table wedged between a fake cactus and a couple arguing about tile grout. Ben sat across from me and placed his phone face down. How was your week? He asked. My mother had a procedure. His eyes sharpened. Is she okay? She's fine. Natalie drove her. He waited. I didn't. Okay, I always drive her. But you weren't available. I could have been. Then why weren't you? I wanted her to understand I'm not automatically available. Ben leaned back. Was the ride unsafe with Natalie? No. Did your mother miss the procedure? No. Then it sounds like she understood. She said Natalie was late. How late? 30 minutes, but Mom builds in 45 minutes of panic time, so they were still early. His mouth twitched. I feel terrible, I said. That doesn't mean you did something terrible. You practice that sentence. No, but I'm going to write it down. The waiter arrived with chips and salsa. I broke one into increasingly small pieces without eating it. I don't want to become someone who proves a boundary by making other people suffer, I said. Your sister rearranged a meeting and wiped up ginger ale. You heard about that? Natalie texted me. I stopped breaking the chip. Why? She sent the picture and wrote, Are you happy now? What did you say? I told her not to contact me about your family. Was that all? Yes. You could have told me. I'm telling you now. I watched his face, searching for the satisfaction I had been afraid of. He looked tired, not triumphant. Mom thinks this is all because of you, I said. I know. That isn't fair. No, don't say it. He picked up a chip. I was going to say it isn't surprising. That's different. I'm learning. Our food came. We had both ordered tacos, his with steak, mine with fish. The waiter mixed up the plates and Ben switched them without comment. I keep thinking about the last few years, I said, trying to figure out when it got this bad. It didn't get bad all at once. Helpful. We built it together. I looked at him. He wiped salsa from his thumb. You said yes to everything, and I said yes to you saying yes. Then I kept a private list of every time I thought you should have chosen differently. A list. Not an actual list. I know what you mean. I would agree to help your parents move a sofa, then spend the whole day angry that you asked. I'd fix Natalie's sink and act generous, then bring it up 6 months later when we were fighting. You liked being the person who could fix things. Yes. You liked Mom telling everyone how lucky I was. At first. So you weren't just a neglected husband chained to a toolbox. No. I was also getting something from it. That admission loosened something in me. Ben had always presented his resentment as evidence that he alone could see the family clearly. The idea that he had participated, that being indispensable had fed something in him too, made his anger less righteous and more honest. I liked it too, I said. Being indispensable? Being the good one. He waited. Natalie got attention, I said, but I got trust. Mom gave me keys and passwords. Dad called me when he didn't know what to do. Everyone said I was the person who held things together. You were. I made sure of it. The couple beside us had moved from tile grout to cabinet handles. The woman said, Brushed nickel is not a personality with enough force that I wanted to applaud. If I stopped fixing things, I said, then maybe everyone would find out I wasn't special. I was just available. Ben looked at me for a long moment. You're special when you're asleep. That sounds creepy. You're not helping anyone while you're asleep. You don't know that. I've organized several events in dreams. He smiled. I smiled back, then looked down. What do you miss? I asked. About you? About us. He did not answer immediately. Sunday mornings, he said. When you sit on the counter while I cook and criticize how I make eggs, you make them too dry. You don't know anything about eggs. I know dry. I miss you reading things out loud from another room, then getting annoyed because I can't hear you. I miss arguing about whether we need a new couch. I miss the way you put cold feet on me and then deny it. Those are all irritating things. They're your things. My eyes filled before I could stop them. What do you miss? He asked. I folded my napkin in half. You making coffee before I know I want it? The way you say interesting when you hate someone's idea? Your hand on my back in crowded rooms? He looked down. I don't miss wondering if you're angry, I said. I don't miss feeling like every favor I do for my family is going into a case you'll present later. That's fair. I glared at him through tears. Sorry. Accurate. It's accurate. I laughed and wiped beneath my eyes. He paid for his tacos. I paid for mine. Outside, neither of us went directly to our cars. Do you want to see the apartment? He asked. The question carried no obvious invitation beyond itself, which made it harder to answer. For the decorative pillows, he added. 6, you said. There are 8. I found 2 in a closet. That's obscene. It's 5 minutes away. I followed him in my car. The building was new enough to smell like paint and old enough for one elevator button to be cracked. His apartment was on the 3rd floor. He unlocked the door and stepped aside. The living room was aggressively gray. Gray couch, gray rug, gray curtains. 3 silver circles hung on the wall above a fake plant. "It looks like the waiting room for a tasteful divorce," I said. Ben leaned his head against the doorframe. That's what I've been trying not to say. In the bedroom, 8 decorative pillows were arranged in descending order across the bed. I picked up the smallest one. It was too tiny to support any known part of the human body. "What is this for?" "I think it's the grandchild." I laughed, and for a minute we stood there laughing together, surrounded by someone else's furniture. When we stopped, the quiet was different. Ben was close enough that I could see where he had nicked his chin shaving. His hand lifted slightly, then fell. "Can I hug you?" he asked. The question hurt with its gentleness. "Yes." He put his arms around me. I pressed my face against his shoulder and felt him breathe. Nothing was solved. The apartment remained leased. The house remained mine for now. My mother was still telling herself a story in which Ben had stolen me. But when we let go, neither of us pretended the hug meant more than we had chosen. At home, Mom had left a voicemail. "I hope refusing one simple ride was worth whatever point you were trying to make." I deleted it. Then I opened the family calendar, removed myself from every appointment Mom had added without asking, and closed the app before guilt could become an instruction. The calendar sent Mom an automatic notification. She responded in less than 3 minutes. "Why did you remove Dad's cardiology appointment?" I had not removed the appointment. I had removed myself as an attendee, which meant the appointment still existed, but no longer appeared on my phone as an obligation. I explained none of that. Dad called later and left a message saying he had already arranged his own ride. He did not ask me to call Mom. That was how change began, not with anybody becoming a different person, but with small disruptions in the old choreography. I stopped receiving delivery notifications for my parents' prescriptions. Dad learned how to check them himself. When the cable company gave Mom a 4-hour service window, Natalie sat at the house with her laptop and discovered Mom believed working remotely meant being available for conversation. She stood behind me, reading an email over my shoulder, Natalie whispered during a bathroom call. "Then tell her to stop." I did. "What happened?" She said, "You never minded." I minded. "Oh." That O became one of Natalie's most frequent words. She said it when Mom asked her to reorganize the anniversary photographs after Dad put them in the wrong order. She said it when Dad called her because Mom had cried after I failed to answer. She said it when Elaine criticized the flowers Natalie bought as too cheerful for autumn. "You made all of this look easy," Natalie told me. "No, I made it look completed. That's basically the same thing. It isn't." The second week after the anniversary, she came to my house carrying Thai food and stood on the porch without trying the knob. "I'm not asking you to fix anything," she said when I opened the door. "What are you asking?" "To eat noodles indoors." I let her in. She stopped in the entryway, looking toward the kitchen as though Ben might appear. "Is he here?" "No." "Are you talking?" "Yes." "How's that going?" I waited. "Right. None of my business." She held up the paper bag. "There are dumplings." We ate at the kitchen counter because sitting across from her at the table felt too formal. Natalie wore black pants and a cream blouse, still dressed from the showroom. Her hair had escaped its clip, and there was a streak of blue ink along the side of her hand. "Mom says you're punishing her," she said. "Did you come here to tell me that?" "No. I came here because she says it every 12 minutes, and if I didn't tell someone, I was going to start chewing furniture. She called Aunt Marcy about my marriage." "I know. She called Ben. I didn't know that. She used Dad's phone because he blocked her." Natalie put down her chopsticks. "He blocked Mom?" "Yes. She's going to react to that in a very balanced way. She already has." "Does Dad know she used his phone?" "I don't know." Natalie picked at the corner of her napkin. "I should have told you before the toast." "Yes." I keep replaying that moment in the kitchen. I asked her whether you knew, and she said you knew things were bad. That wasn't the question. I know. I let it be enough because I wanted to give the speech. I waited. She looked up. I'm not going to keep apologizing every time I see you. Good. I mean, I am sorry, I know. But if I make every conversation about how guilty I feel, then you end up comforting me. I stared at her. What? She asked. That was almost emotionally mature. I've had a difficult month. It's been 2 weeks. That cannot be right. I smiled. She smiled back, then grew serious. Are you ever going to forgive me? I don't know. Her face fell. I'm not saying no. You're not saying yes. I spent the night in a hotel because you decided my marriage would improve your toast. You don't get a schedule for when that stops hurting. She nodded, eyes on her noodles. That's fair. I groaned. What? Everyone keeps saying that. Maybe because you're terrifying now. We finished dinner without solving anything. She washed the takeout containers, even though they were disposable, then left them upside down beside the sink. At the door, she said, Mom wants to invite you and Ben for dinner. No, I told her you'd say that. Then why mention it? She's going to ask Dad to ask you. Tell Dad not to. You could tell him. I could. But you're standing here. Natalie sighed. Being the messenger is terrible. I know. Another oh. My dinners with Ben continued on Tuesday nights. The second one was at a pizza place. We argued about whether he had spent years being direct or merely louder than I wanted to hear. The third was at a diner where the waitress called us honey and refilled our coffee until both of us were vibrating. Ben admitted he had imagined moving out often enough to know which furniture he would take. The record player, he said. You don't even use it. I would in my imaginary apartment. Do you use it in the real apartment? No. I admitted I had sometimes fantasized about a week alone in which nobody could ask me for anything, including him. You could have taken a week, he said. No, I couldn't. You could have asked. I didn't want to need one. Our conversations became less elegant as they became more honest. We contradicted ourselves. We circled back. Sometimes one of us said something intelligent and ruined it 5 minutes later. At the end of his first month in the apartment, Ben came to the house to collect his blue suit. He texted from the driveway and waited until I opened the door. You still have a key, I said. I know. You can use it. Not while I don't live here. The distinction mattered. I followed him upstairs. He opened the closet and took down the suit, then noticed the bathroom faucet. You had it fixed. Yes. Was it expensive? $180. For a washer? Apparently, it was a cartridge. It was a washer. You should have stayed. You could have saved me $180. The joke came out before I considered it. Ben held the suit against his chest. Is that an invitation? No. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't be. I didn't mean to make it sound like your value is plumbing. I know. We stood in the bedroom, surrounded by the parts of his life he had left behind. His sweaters remained in the closet. His book still leaned against mine. The photograph on the dresser showed us in New Orleans, laughing beneath 2 plastic rain ponchos after a storm. We had been married 4 years then. Mom called twice during that trip because Natalie had lost her apartment key. Did you renew the lease? I asked. Not yet. When do you have to decide? Tomorrow. I sat on the edge of the bed. Do you want to come home? Yes. His answer frightened me with its speed. He added, but I don't think I should. Why? Because we've had 3 decent dinners. 2 decent dinners. The pizza one was awful. Fair. I looked at him. Accurate, he corrected. I folded my hands. I don't know what coming home means. Neither do I. It can't mean we pretend this was a misunderstanding. I don't think that. And you can't leave every time you think I'm slipping back into something. I won't threaten to leave. You didn't threaten. That was part of the problem. He sat beside me, leaving space between us. I'll tell you before it becomes a suitcase, he said. I looked at the blue suit across his knees. I need to tell you something too, I said. When you moved out, part of me was relieved. His face went still, Not because I wanted you gone, because once you were gone, I didn't have to keep checking whether you were disappointed in me. He absorbed it slowly. I didn't know you did that, he said. I did it constantly. I'm sorry. I also used your disappointment as an excuse. If Mom was angry and you were angry, I could act like I was trapped between two unreasonable people instead of making a choice. That doesn't sound like relief. It wasn't. It was familiar. The suit slid slightly and he caught it before it hit the floor. Renew for 1 more month, I said. He nodded. Does that feel like rejection? Yes. I waited. It also feels sensible, he added. Both can be true. He stood and returned the suit hanger to the closet. I thought you needed it. I'll wear the gray one. Why? Because if I take it, you'll look at the empty space for a month. That's manipulative. Probably. I took the hanger down and handed it to him. Take your suit. He smiled. Yes, ma'am. At the front door, he paused. Your mother emailed me, he said. What? She found my work address. The anger arrived instantly. What did she say? That she was willing to forgive my part in what happened if I stopped encouraging you to cut off your family. She was willing to forgive you? I did not respond. Did you block her? Yes. I leaned against the doorframe. I'm sorry. This isn't yours to apologize for. I brought her into our marriage for years, too. Not like you did, but every time I told her about an argument because I wanted her to say I was right. You did that? Of course I did. You told me you didn't discuss us with her. I said I didn't tell her private things. What counts as private? Apparently only things that made me look bad. Ben let out a breath that might have been a laugh if it had not hurt. We were both terrible at doors, he said. What does that mean? We kept inviting people into rooms and getting angry when they moved the furniture. I looked at him. That sounded better in my head. No. It was annoyingly good. He reached for the doorknob. Ben. He turned. I stepped forward and kissed him. It was not a dramatic kiss. No rain, no music. His blue suit hung between us until he moved it to one side. He touched my waist and waited, even then, for me to lean closer. I did. When we separated, he rested his forehead against mine. Still renew the lease, I whispered. Still renewing. After he left, I stood in the entryway touching my mouth. Dad called an hour later. I'm not asking you to fix anything, he said before hello. Everyone has started opening with that. Your mother wants Thanksgiving here. Thanksgiving is 6 weeks away. She likes notice. What does this have to do with me? She wants you and Ben to come. I don't know if Ben and I will be together then. I understand. Does she? No. I appreciated the answer. Dad continued. She says she wants the family to heal. What does that mean? I asked. She said she wants everyone at one table. No grudges, no scenes, meaning she wants me to act normal. Yes. And if I don't? She'll say Ben is keeping you away. She already says that. I know. I walked into the kitchen and opened the cabinet. Ben's mug sat beside mine. If we come, I said, there are conditions. Dad grew quiet. No speeches about me, no announcements about my marriage, no questions about whether Ben is moving home. Nobody tells me to forgive Natalie or Mom. And if any of that starts, we leave. I can tell her. That isn't what I asked. He sighed. You asked whether I would come. I'm telling you what would make it possible. All right? Do you think she can do that? No, Dad said. The honesty made me close my eyes. Then why are you asking? Because I think she needs to discover that the rules apply even when she doesn't like them. And you need me there for the demonstration. No, his voice firmed. If you decide not to come, I'll tell her I support that. I waited. That may not sound like much, he said. It doesn't. I know. After we hung up, I pictured Mom's Thanksgiving table, her good china, Dad carving turkey, Natalie arriving late with wine. I pictured myself monitoring every breath, waiting for the toast. Then I pictured walking out, For the first time, the second image did not feel like failure. I called Ben before I could turn Thanksgiving into another private test. He answered on the first ring. "Hi." "My father invited us to Thanksgiving." A pause. "Us?" "Yes." "Does Elaine know that includes me?" "She requested both of us. That's ominous. She wants the family to heal." More ominous. I sat on the arm of the couch. I gave Dad conditions. What conditions? No speeches, no announcements, no questions about us, no forced forgiveness. If any of that starts, we leave. If we go. Do you want to? I don't know. Then we don't have to decide tonight. The answer irritated me. You don't want to go. I want gravy. I don't want your mother's gravy enough to attend a live reenactment of the anniversary. I'm not asking you to reenact anything. I know. You think I'm going because I need to prove I can handle her. I think that's one possibility. What's the other? That you miss your family. I stared at the dark television across the room. I do, I said. I know. I'm still angry. I know that too. They're not mutually exclusive. No. I leaned back against the couch cushion. What would you want if we went? To drive separately. Why? So you don't feel trapped if I want to leave, and I don't feel trapped if you want to stay. That made sense and felt awful. I don't want to drive separately, I said. Okay, if we go, we arrive together and leave together. Whichever one of us wants to leave first, yes. Then I'd go. Even if Mom behaves, even if she behaves. He was quiet. What? I asked. That sounded like a decision. It wasn't. It sounded like one. Don't make it bigger. I won't. We did not decide that night. Instead, we kept eating together. One Tuesday, Ben came to the house and cooked eggs while I sat on the kitchen counter, criticizing the heat beneath the pan. The routine felt natural until we both noticed it felt natural. He looked up at me. Too dry? They're not finished. I'm preparing for the review. You're overcooking the edges. He turned off the burner. Come do it. I'm supervising. You've always been supervising. That's why things work. He laughed, then stopped. What? I asked. Nothing. No. We're supposed to say things before they become suitcases. He set down the spatula. I miss this. So do I. I'm scared we're good at missing each other and bad at living together. The honesty caught me with one foot swinging above the cabinet door. We were good at living together for a long time, I said. Were we? Yes, or were we good at the daily mechanics? I looked toward his clean mug beside the coffee maker. He had washed it automatically before making breakfast. That counts for something. It does. He carried the plates to the table. But I don't want to move home because I know how you like your coffee. You don't know how I like my coffee. You think coffee should be strong enough to remove paint. You drink it. Because you hand it to me. Exactly. Mechanics. We ate across from each other. What would be different? I asked. If I came home? Yes. He thought about it. When your family asks for something, we don't answer immediately. You mean I don't answer immediately. I mean we don't. I've agreed to plenty and resented it later. Okay. We say, let me check and get back to you. Mom will hear that as asking your permission. Your mother hears weather forecasts as criticism. We can't build rules around her interpretations. I smiled into my eggs. What else? I asked. If I'm angry, I say angry. Not tired. Good. If you're choosing to help them, you say you're choosing it. Not that you have no choice. That one landed. What else? I asked. No discussing our marriage with anyone in your family. Agreed. And if one of us starts keeping a list, we tell the other before it becomes an indictment. He nodded. I set down my fork. This sounds like a treaty. Treaties are usually signed after a war. We're not at war. No. We're two people who nearly let your sister end our marriage with a champagne flute. She didn't nearly end it. His eyes met mine. No, we did. The words hurt, but they no longer felt like blame. At the end of his second month in the apartment, Ben carried home one suitcase, not all of them. One. He placed it inside the bedroom and waited. "Are you going to unpack?" I asked. "Is that what you want? I don't want you living out of a suitcase like you're waiting for me to fail." He unzipped it. We hung his shirts together. The closet had become crowded again, and I had to move 3 of my dresses to make room for his gray suit. "You left the blue one here," I said. "I know. So what's in the garment bag?" "The blue one." I turned. He smiled. "I took it after you went to work. You used your key?" "You said I could." "I did. Do you want me to give it back?" "No." He hung the suit. That first night, we lay on our separate sides of the bed with a foot of mattress between us. The space felt more intimate than touching. I listened to him breathe and knew he was awake. "Ben?" "Yeah?" "Are you disappointed?" "Right now?" "Yes." "No." "Are you lying because you think wanting anything will make me ask you to leave?" He turned onto his side. In the darkness, I could make out the shape of his face. A little. I moved my hand across the sheet until my fingers touched his. He held them. We fell asleep that way. Having him home did not fix the house. It made the unfinished parts visible. He left a damp towel on the bed, and I accused him of expecting me to pick it up. He reminded me he had always left towels on chairs, not beds, and we spent 10 minutes debating whether the location represented moral decline. I accepted an invitation to help Dad choose a new cardiologist without checking with Ben. He said nothing for 2 days, then admitted he was waiting to see whether I would notice. "That is the exact thing you promised not to do," I said. "I know. Were you angry?" "No. I was scared." "Of what?" "That one yes meant we were back to before. It doesn't." "I know that intellectually. What do you know emotionally?" "That the party never ends." I reached across the table and took his hand. Then I called Dad and told him I could give him 2 doctor names, but I would not schedule the appointment. He said thank you and scheduled it himself. 3 days after Ben returned, I told my family. Not because they were entitled to know, but because I was done allowing my life to arrive through somebody else's mouth. I called Dad first. "Ben has moved home," I said. "I'm glad." "That is all I'm telling you. I understand. Please don't tell Mom before I do." "I won't." I called Natalie next. "Do not make a toast," I said. She gasped. "He's home?" "Yes." "Are you happy?" "I am not answering follow-up questions." "Fair," I groaned. "Accurate," she corrected. "I'm glad. Quietly, alone, with no glassware." Mom was last. She did not answer, so I left a voicemail. "Ben moved home. I'm telling you because it is my news to tell. We are working on our marriage. I'm not discussing the details." She called back while Ben and I were eating dinner. I let it ring, then looked at him. "Answer if you want," he said. "What do you want?" "I want her not to call during dinner, but it's your decision." I answered and put the phone on speaker. "Hello, Mom. So it's true, I told you myself. Your father seemed strange on the phone. I knew something had happened. Did he tell you?" "No." A small point for Dad. Mom continued. "I'm glad Ben has come to his senses." Ben raised his eyebrows. "He didn't come to his senses," I said. "We made a decision together. I hope he appreciates the chance you're giving him. We are giving each other a chance." A pause. "Is he there?" "Yes." "Of course." "Mom, I was only saying that perhaps this isn't the right time. You called me. I'm trying to apologize." Ben looked down at his plate. "For what?" I asked. "For the way everything happened at the anniversary. The way everything happened. For Natalie's timing. And for not telling you sooner. In retrospect, waiting was a mistake." I felt Ben's hand close around mine beneath the table. "Waiting wasn't the only mistake. I cannot apologize for taking seriously what your husband told me. I'm not asking you to. Then what do you want? I want you to admit you approved telling everyone before you told me. I thought Natalie's toast might remove some of the shame and allow you to own what was happening. There was nothing for me to own. I didn't know it was happening. We understand that now. You understood it then. Natalie asked if I knew. Mom sighed. How long are we going to keep circling this? Until you stop changing what happened. I said I'm sorry. You said you're sorry about the timing. What difference does it make if the result is the same? The result isn't the same. She went quiet. Then her voice softened. I want you both at Thanksgiving. I looked at Ben. He did not nod or shake his head. I gave Dad our conditions, I said. Yes. He presented them as though we were negotiating a hostage release. They're not negotiable. No one intends to discuss your marriage. You're discussing it now. I mean at dinner. Thanksgiving should be about family. It should. And I want you to know, she added, I am prepared to welcome Ben despite how deeply he hurt all of us. Ben's grip loosened. This is not a chance for you to forgive Ben, I said. Everyone has someone to forgive. Do you understand the conditions? I understand that you plan to leave if you feel uncomfortable. If you make my life a public topic, we will leave. Fine. Say you understand. I understand. Ben looked at me. We'll come, I said. After the call, neither of us ate for a moment. She's going to do it, Ben said. Probably. Do you still want to go? Yes. Why? Because I miss my father. I miss Natalie. I miss Mom too, which makes me angry, but it's true. I squeezed his hand. And because leaving is different when you know you're allowed. Thanksgiving morning, we cooked sweet potatoes in our kitchen. Ben burned the first batch of pecans and opened every window while I laughed at him. At 4:30, we stood in the entryway with the casserole between us. My car or yours? He asked. Ours. His face changed at the word, but he did not make me explain it. We drove to my parents' house together. At the curb before getting out, Ben turned off the engine. What's the rule? First person who wants to leave says so, and the other gets the coats. Ben reached for the casserole. I can carry it, I said. I know. We each kept one hand on the dish while walking up the front path, which probably looked symbolic from the street and was mostly about the pan being hot. Dad opened the door before we rang. You came, he said. We said we would. I know. He looked at Ben. Good to see you. You too, Ron. Dad stepped aside. He did not hug either of us, which I appreciated. The house smelled like turkey, sage, and the lemon furniture polish Mom used before company arrived. Our coats went on the brass hooks beside the door. Ben placed the sweet potatoes in the kitchen, while I stood in the hallway and waited for my body to remember how to be there without becoming useful. Mom came out of the dining room carrying 2 folded napkins. She wore a burgundy sweater and gold earrings shaped like leaves. Her gaze moved from me to Ben, then down to our wedding rings. Hello, she said. Hi, Mom. Ben. Elaine. She leaned forward and kissed my cheek. When she approached Ben, she seemed to reconsider a hug halfway through and converted it into touching his arm. We're glad you're here, she said. Thank you for inviting me. It's Thanksgiving. As if the calendar, not she, had extended the invitation. Natalie arrived 12 minutes late carrying 3 bottles of wine and a bakery pie still in its cardboard box. I brought options, she announced. You were assigned rolls, Mom said. I also brought rolls. She lifted her purse. A plastic bag of dinner rolls was crushed inside beside her wallet. Mom closed her eyes. They'll taste the same, Natalie said. They don't even look the same. Once chewed, they'll be identical. Dad took the wine from her. Good to see you, Nat. Natalie hugged him, then came toward me more carefully. Hi. Can I hug you? Yes. She wrapped her arms around me, quick and warm. When she let go, she looked at Ben. Hi. Hi, Natalie. I'm not going to say anything about anything. Strong opening, he said. I panicked. He held out one arm and she stepped into an awkward side hug. Mom watched the 3 of us with an expression I couldn't read. Satisfaction, maybe, or annoyance that reconciliation had occurred without her direction. Aunt Marcy and Uncle Russell arrived next, followed by Cousin Dean and his wife Paula. Mom had described Thanksgiving as intimate. For her, 8 guests apparently qualified as privacy. Aunt Marcy kissed both my cheeks and whispered, "You look so much better." I looked fine at the anniversary. I meant happier. "You saw me before the toast." Yes, but looking back, there was a sadness. There wasn't. She patted my hand. "Whatever you say." Ben coughed into his fist. Dinner preparations moved around me like a current. Mom asked Dad to carve the turkey, then stood over him, telling him how thick each slice should be. Natalie opened wine and spilled a drop on the counter. Aunt Marcy rearranged the appetizers so the olives formed a circle around the cheese. I remained near the kitchen doorway. Usually, I would have checked the gravy, counted forks, refilled the ice bucket, and rescued the rolls from Natalie's purse. My hands kept inventing tasks. The green beans needed a serving spoon. One dining chair was slightly crooked. Mom had placed red wine beside Paula, who only drank white. I did nothing. It took extraordinary effort. Dad glanced at me while carrying the turkey platter. "You can sit down," he said. Mom turned. "She knows she can sit down. I was only telling her the table's ready." "I can see the table," I said. Natalie slipped beside me. "This is going really well. We've been here 20 minutes. That's longer than I predicted." At the table, Mom placed Ben beside me. Dad sat at the head, Mom at the other end, with Natalie across from us. For several minutes, conversation stayed safely attached to food. Uncle Russell praised the turkey. Mom said it was slightly dry. Dad took a long drink of wine. Dean asked Ben how work was going. "Busy," Ben said. "How's the apartment?" Silence dropped so fast it felt rehearsed. Dean looked around. "What?" "He moved home," Aunt Marcy whispered. "Oh." Dean pointed his fork toward us. "So the separation's over?" Mom set down her wineglass. "We're not discussing Claire and Ben's marriage." I looked at her. She gave me a small smile. Dean turned red. "Sorry," Marcy said. "I said nothing," Aunt Marcy replied. "You said he was in a furnished place with gray furniture." I did not say gray. Ben's knee touched mine beneath the table. I looked down to hide my smile. Mom redirected the conversation to Paula's new kitchen cabinets. Natalie offered several professional opinions, then charged her a consultation fee of 1 dinner roll. For almost an hour, Mom behaved. She did not mention Ben's apartment, my returned key, or the group chat. She asked about my work and accepted a vague answer. When Aunt Marcy tried to call our separation a blessing in disguise, Mom interrupted to ask whether anyone needed more potatoes. By the time Dad cleared the dinner plates, my shoulders had begun to loosen. Maybe she had heard me. Maybe Dad had said something that stayed said. Maybe the anniversary had frightened her too, not because she had lost control of the room, but because she had finally understood what control had cost. That hope was embarrassing, but it was there. Mom brought out pumpkin pie and Natalie's bakery pie, which turned out to be apple despite the label saying cherry. "They gave you the wrong pie," Mom said, "or the label is wrong. The filling is clearly apple. Then the pie is wrong." Dad cut both before the disagreement required mediation. Ben declined coffee. I accepted a cup and drank it too quickly. Under the table, his leg remained lightly against mine. Natalie caught my eye and made a tiny circle with her thumb and forefinger. "Okay?" I gave the smallest nod. Mom rose. She held a bottle of champagne. My stomach dropped before she removed the foil. Dad stopped cutting pie. "Elaine, it's Thanksgiving. We have wine. I wanted something special." Natalie looked at me. I looked at Ben. He did not move. The rule belonged to both of us. But the decision was mine. Mom filled several glasses. When she reached me, I placed my hand over mine. "No, thank you, just a little." "No." She moved to Ben. "I'm fine," he said. Mom's smile tightened. "Of course." She returned to her place with her own glass. Aunt Marcy brightened. "Are we toasting?" "No," Dad said. Mom looked at him. "We always say what we're thankful for. We can do that sitting down. I am standing because I have been cooking all day and my back is stiff." Natalie put her fork down. "Mom." "What?" "You agreed. I agreed not to discuss private problems. I am not discussing problems. She lifted the glass. Every muscle in my body remembered the anniversary dining room, the lemon cake, the raised glasses, Ben entering through the door with rain on his jacket. Beside me, his hand opened on the table, palm up. I placed mine in it. Mom smiled at the room. I am thankful that, despite a difficult season, our family has found its way back to one another. Dad pushed his chair away from the table. Elaine, stop. This is not a speech. It sounds like a speech, Natalie said. I'm saying what I'm thankful for. You may all do the same. No, I said. Mom's eyes came to me. No what? No, you don't get to do this. I'm not doing anything. You're making an announcement. I haven't announced a thing. Then sit down. Aunt Marcy stared into her pie as though praying for invisibility. Dean took a long drink from the wrong glass. Mom laughed softly. Claire, you are being extremely sensitive. I told you what would happen. You told me I couldn't discuss your marriage. I haven't. You said the family found its way back. That is about all of us. Then leave me and Ben out of it. I didn't say your names. You looked directly at us. Would you prefer I avoid looking at you in my own home? Ben's thumb moved once across my knuckles. Mom turned to the others. This is exactly why I wanted to say something positive. Everyone has been walking on eggshells for weeks. We were eating pie, Natalie said. Stay out of it. I tried that at the anniversary. It didn't go great. Mom's face flushed. Fine. Since apparently every word requires legal review, I will be direct. Don't, Dad said. She looked at me and lifted her glass higher. I am thankful that Claire and Ben are back together for good, that Ben has returned home, and that we can finally put this painful episode behind us. Aunt Marcy whispered, Here, here. Nobody else moved. Mom took a sip. I stood. The movement was calm. That surprised me. No shaking, no heat behind my eyes. I placed my napkin beside my plate. Coats, I said. Ben rose immediately. Mom lowered her glass. You cannot be serious. He walked toward the hallway. Ben, she said, if you encourage her to walk out of Thanksgiving. He didn't, I said. He is literally getting your coat, because that was our agreement. Your agreement was to leave if I said something you didn't like. Our agreement was to leave if you announced our life after promising not to. I expressed gratitude. You announced that we're together for good, aren't you? That isn't your question to ask. Then what exactly are you objecting to? The happy ending? The part where you still believe my marriage is a story you get to tell? Ben returned holding both coats. He helped no one into anything. He handed me mine and put on his own. Mom looked at Dad. Are you going to allow this? Dad stood. They told you the condition, he said. I did not violate it. You did. Her face changed. So now you're against me too. No. Then stop them. I'm not going to. The room felt different with Dad standing. Not safer exactly. He was still 6 weeks late, but he was no longer folded into his chair. Mom turned to Natalie. You started all of this. Natalie flinched. Then she set down her champagne glass. I started the toast, she said. You started the lie. I did not lie. You told me Claire was getting divorced, because that was what Ben implied. Ben opened the front door. Cold air moved through the hallway. Mom pointed toward him. There, look at him. He creates a disaster and then stands silently while you all blame me. Ben's hand remained on the door. I created part of the disaster, he said. I apologized to my wife. I changed what I was doing. You keep changing the sentence. You have no idea what I have done to hold this family together. Yes, I said, I do. Mom looked at me. You handed it to me. Her eyes filled. You used to be proud that I could depend on you, she said. I was proud too. Then what happened to you? I found out dependence without consent is just expectation. Aunt Marcy made a small choking sound. Uncle Russell handed her water. Mom pressed one hand against her chest. I cannot believe you would humiliate me in front of everyone. I'm leaving. I'm not making a toast about it. I put on my coat. She followed us into the hallway. If you walk out now, don't expect me to pretend this is normal by Christmas. That's your choice. You are choosing him over your family. No, I'm choosing the boundary you agreed to. There shouldn't have to be boundaries between a mother and daughter. That's why we're here." Her face went hard. "If you leave," she said, "do not come back until you can apologize for the way you've treated me." The old answer rose in my throat. The apology that would calm her, preserve the holiday, give Dad a quiet evening. Ben stood outside on the porch, waiting. He did not call my name. He did not reach for me. He let me choose. "I won't be back for a while," I said. Then I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. We walked to the car without speaking. Behind us, the front door opened. I expected Mom. Dad came down the path carrying our empty casserole dish and Ben's scarf. "You forgot these," he said. Ben took the scarf. I took the dish. Dad looked toward the house. Mom stood behind the storm door, a burgundy shape beneath the porch light. "I'm sorry," Dad said. "You tried, not soon enough." "No." He nodded. "I'll call you," he said. "When you want to talk to me," I replied. "Not when you want me to fix her. I understand." Ben opened the passenger door for me. As we pulled away, Mom remained behind the glass. Natalie had come into the hallway beside her, but she was not touching her. At the corner, Ben glanced at me. "Home?" I looked down at the empty casserole dish in my lap. "Not yet," I said. He kept driving. Ben turned left at the next light instead of right toward the house. "Where are we going?" I asked. "You said not home yet. I didn't mean you should kidnap me. You're holding a casserole dish. You look armed." I looked down at the empty ceramic pan in my lap. "Drive," I said. He drove without choosing a destination. We passed dark office buildings, a closed garden center, and 3 gas stations with identical glowing signs. Thanksgiving lights shone in windows. Behind each one, I imagined a family behaving slightly better than mine. Eventually, Ben pulled into the diner where we had eaten during our 3rd Tuesday dinner. The open sign flickered in the window. Inside, the same waitress who had called us honey was working the counter. "Well," she said, looking at our formal clothes, "either dinner went great or pie became necessary." "Pie," Ben said. "2?" I looked at him. 1. 2 forks. She brought apple pie warmed until the crust had gone soft and ice cream melted around it. Ben and I sat side by side in a booth because neither of us wanted to be across from the other. For several minutes, we ate without talking. Then I began to cry. It happened quietly at first. Tears slid down my face while I kept trying to cut the same piece of apple with the side of my fork. Ben put his fork down. "Don't say anything," I said. "Okay, I mean it." "I know." He sat beside me while I cried for the anniversary. Thanksgiving, my mother behind the storm door, and every ordinary afternoon I had mistaken being necessary for being known. The waitress passed once, saw my face, and placed a stack of napkins on the table without comment. "I hate her," I whispered. Ben waited. "I don't hate her. I know, I miss her while she's in the same room." His hand rested on the booth between us. I placed mine over it. "You were right about one thing," I said. "Only one? You let me choose." I was trying very hard, I could tell. I had several excellent lines prepared for your mother, I'm sure. One involved the phrase, emotional eminent domain. I laughed through the tears. That doesn't even make sense. It did in the moment. "Thank you for not saying it. You didn't need me to." The waitress returned with the check. "No charge for the extra napkins," she said. At home, we left the casserole dish in the sink and our coats on the backs of kitchen chairs. Ben made coffee even though it was nearly 10. I sat on the counter while he measured grounds. "You're going to be awake all night," he said. "So are you." True. My phone remained in my purse. Mom's threat hung somewhere beyond the front door, but it did not enter the kitchen unless I carried it in. We slept with no space between us. The next morning, there were 9 messages. Aunt Marcy said she hoped everyone could remember the spirit of the holiday. Dean said he had not realized back together was confidential, but understood in retrospect. Natalie wrote, "I'm sorry she did it again. I should have taken the champagne away." Dad wrote, "Your mother is waiting for an apology. I told her not to. Mom's message was longest. I hope when you are calmer you will recognize how deeply you embarrassed your father and me. I opened my home to Ben despite his behavior. I followed your rules to the best of my understanding. If expressing gratitude is now forbidden, I cannot imagine how any family gathering could satisfy you." I read it once. Then I wrote, "You approved Natalie announcing my divorce before telling me what Ben had said. At Thanksgiving, you promised not to announce anything about my marriage and did it anyway. I will not discuss my marriage with you again. I will not see you until I'm ready. Do not send relatives to speak for you." Her answer arrived instantly. "So Ben has won." I blocked her number. Not forever. I could not make myself think in forever. I chose 30 days and told Dad and Natalie I would add time if either carried messages. Dad said he understood. Natalie said, "What if she sends something important?" I replied, "If someone is in immediate danger, call me. Her feelings are not an emergency." Natalie did not answer for several minutes. Then, "Oh." Christmas passed without Mom. The absence did not feel clean or triumphant. It sat beside me while Ben and I opened gifts in our living room. I missed Mom's cinnamon rolls, her insistence on saving wrapping paper, the way she always forgot which gifts she had bought Dad and looked delighted when he opened them. Dad came by 2 days before with a bag of presents and stayed for coffee. He did not say Mom was devastated or ask when I planned to call. When he stood to leave, he hugged me. "She misses you," he said. "I miss her too." He nodded. "I'll leave it there." That was the first time he gave me information without turning it into an assignment. Natalie visited the week after Christmas and brought the wrong kind of wine on purpose. "I'm embracing imperfection," she said. "You bought sweet red wine. I may have gone too far. Our relationship returned in uneven pieces. Some days I could laugh with her. Other days I looked at her holding a glass and heard the anniversary room go silent. She learned not to ask whether I had forgiven her. I learned not to pretend I had when I hadn't. When Mom began sending Natalie appointment confirmations, service windows, and lists of errands, Natalie tried complaining to me. "You know what to do," I said. "Say no? Decide first." "That sounds worse." "It is." She began with small refusals. She would pick Mom up at 11, but not 9. She would order groceries, but not put them away. When Mom criticized her handwriting on a birthday card, Natalie handed her the pen. Mom called Dad ungrateful. Dad told her he would discuss his own behavior, but not mine. None of them transformed. Natalie still arrived late. Dad still went quiet too often. Mom remained skilled at turning disappointment into accusation. The difference was that I stopped doing the last step for them. At home, Ben and I kept our Tuesday dinners even after he moved back. Sometimes we went out, sometimes we ate at the kitchen table and talked until the food went cold. He told me when he was angry. I discovered I did not always like the service I had requested. Once, after I agreed to help Dad compare cardiologists, Ben said, "I'm scared you're sliding back." I said, "I offered 2 names. I didn't schedule anything." He said, "I know, I'm still scared. Neither of us won." The conversation ended without a suitcase. I told him when I felt watched. He stopped asking whether every call from Dad was an emergency. I stopped using family as if it were a law that overruled plans we had made together. 3 months after Thanksgiving, I unblocked Mom. I did not call her. I simply allowed the door to exist. She waited 2 days. When her name appeared on my screen, I carried the phone into the kitchen. Ben was cooking dinner. "Do you want me to leave?" he asked. "No. Do you want me to stay?" "Yes," I answered. "Hello." Mom was quiet long enough that I wondered if the call had dropped. "Hi," she said. Her voice undid me more efficiently than cruelty could have. "Hi. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. You can say what you mean. I miss you. I miss you too." She inhaled sharply. "I'm sorry," she said. I waited. "I'm sorry the toast happened. That isn't enough. I knew you would say that, then why say it? Because I don't know how to apologize the way you want. I'm not asking for special wording. I'm asking you to admit what you did." Silence stretched between us. Ben stirred something on the stove, making no effort to appear as if he couldn't hear. Mom finally said, "I wanted the anniversary to go well. I know. I thought if I told you, you might not come. Yes, and I needed you. You needed the party. I needed both." The answer hurt because it was closer to truth than anything she had offered. "You let Natalie tell everyone because you thought the evening was already finished," I said. "Yes." A small word, barely audible. My eyes filled. "That was cruel?" she added. I gripped the phone. "Yes." I don't know if I believed it was cruel then. I think that's the problem. I know. She began to say something else, stopped, then tried again. "Are you and Ben all right?" That is one of the things you don't get to ask. I heard her swallow. Okay, it was not forgiveness. It was not restoration. It was one conversation in which she stayed inside the consequence instead of escaping through an explanation. "I can talk again next week," I said, "for 20 minutes. "All right." No questions about my marriage. No messages through Dad or Natalie. "All right. If you tell relatives we've reconciled, I won't call." Her breath caught at the word reconciled, but she did not seize it. "All right," she said. After we hung up, I cried against Ben's chest. He did not ask whether they were happy tears. They weren't. They were grief with a little room inside it. In April, we finally drove to Rockport. Ben rebooked the same inn, but asked before paying. I used the navy weekend bag that had traveled to the hotel the night of the anniversary. The blue pajamas were still inside, the drawstring lost somewhere in the waistband. "I hate these," I said. "They seem loyal. They're terrible." "Still here, though." I threw them at him. The room had a fireplace and a view of gray water. In the morning, we carried coffee down to the shore and walked where the tide had left a dark line across the sand. My phone rang in my pocket. Ben glanced at me but did not ask who it was. I checked. Natalie. For a second, the old current caught me. The certainty that something needed to be handled, that love meant answering before the second ring. Then a message appeared. Not an emergency. Mom hates the new grocery delivery person and I needed to tell someone. I laughed and put the phone away. "What?" Ben asked. "Nothing that needs me." He held out his hand. I took it and we kept walking.